Rock and roll. Huh. I wonder what this button does here.
Oh no, not that one.
Blind and Beyond.
Blind and Beyond.
It's the Blind and Beyond show.
With Hershi Trevetti.
And Dave Hillerbrand.
He'll be talking to all kinds of interesting people in the blindness community and beyond. I wonder where they could be. Let's check on them now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Hirsch, something weird is happening, man. I think we're landing. Wow.
Dave, man, you've done it again, Dave. You're so clever with that vehicle. You've done it again.
Ah, we've landed. I guess that button you pushed must have worked.
Yeah, we always get confused. So many buttons to push.
Switches, buttons, knobs, Hey, but we made it. Welcome to the Blind and Beyond show here on YouTube. I'm Dave.
And I'm Hershi, otherwise my real name's Harshit. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening.
We've got some fun guests, and we appreciate
Dave,
you being with us.
Dave, you got so many questions always, you know what I mean? You always have So, hey, Hirsch, what does macular degeneration mean? Hey, Hirsch, what does RP mean?
Exactly. Well,
when we leave the show, this is what Dave does. He calls me. He's like, hey, somebody asks these questions. What does that mean?
We're going to cover all those. In fact, hey, don't forget, we're on YouTube, so you can like, subscribe, share with your friends. All those things are important, as well as you can enter your questions and comments in the chat. So my lovely wife, Brenda, will do some shout-outs.
That segment from Miss Brenda a little bit later. So, Dave, how you been otherwise? What's new with you on the flow side in your neck of the woods, as they say? Oh.
Well, I'm okay.
Wait. Did you go to
hanging in
Naples,
there.
Florida? No, Florida. All these fires. The fires are freaking me out, to be honest. But it reminds me of 1998. Florida had Florida fires. And, the reason why I say that, it reminds me of that, Dave, personally, is it brings me back to my own personal family. I went through public school, and we've talked to all these guests. Which school did you go to? Did you go to the blind school, the regular high school, elementary, middle school? And, what was really cool about it is along that time, going with my dad to different eye doctors. Hey, you're losing your vision pretty quickly there, Chief. What could it be? And Dad would say, okay, let's go to this specialist, Dr. Sonia Broadway, out in Winter Haven, I remember. And all the plethora of doctors here in Daytona Beach. But along the way, I ended up in Ocala, Florida, and I met this gentleman. We're going to meet our guest here shortly.
I don't know. You don't just end up in Ocala, man. You had to have planned it.
Well, you know what?
You took a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
No, Dave. It's nothing like that. It's a simple road. I'll tell you why.
I'll
tell you why. If you go to my Daytona Beach, right? Go to the water. Now, if you go up this road, it's called 40, Highway 40. If you drive on 40 all the way across, guess what? 40 takes you from one band of the east side of Florida to the west side of Florida, to Ocala. So, without further ado, if I may, Dave, I would like you to meet Dr. Michael Lange. Welcome, Doctor.
Well. Wow. You guys are
I just
you
had
guys are
to
a
do it.
hoot.
I just had to. Give you
You
the
guys are a
proper.
hoot. It's great. It's
Had to give you the
great
proper welcome
to be
there,
a
Doc.
guest. Thank you. It's great to be guest. Dave, great to meet you. I've known Hershi for, wow, a long time. That was back in the Ocala office on State Road 200.
Yes.
And then we, you came to multiple locations that I've had. I've seen you in a variety of locations. I think I even saw you in Clearwater and the Villages and even Gainesville.
I think I like Clearwater. I mean, Clearwater is just a beautiful drive, to be honest. You're driving on
Right.
both sides. You look in to give
That guy
our
gets around, doesn't he?
audio description for our audience members. So this beautiful long highway, but just nothing but serene water, and then this big vast of city, and all of West Florida. It's a different beast of roads, is to say the least. But it's when I had a little bit more vision, and compared to, let's say, I-95, which I know better. So.
Right.
So, which road do you come from? Is it I-95, I-75? Where were you from? Where were you born, rather, or stuff like that?
Well, I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, so
Okay,
I'm
New
a
Orleans,
NOLA
okay.
boy.
All right.
Yeah, I did a lot of school. I got a degree in psychology from Southern Miss, and then I went to Memphis and got a degree in physiological optics, and then up to Philadelphia and got my degree, became an optometric physician. Then I went to the American College of Nutrition and became a certified nutritional specialist. So I was one of the first to start developing vitamins for macular degeneration, glaucoma, and dry eye.
Real
And we
quick right
started
there.
the Lange Eye Care.
Real quick though,
Started Lange Eye Care.
how many years was that gap right there? Because just from your education piece, so because maybe you have other listeners that might be interested in the same pathway. And
Right.
would you say, like, has it changed? Like, was that 4, 8 years, 10 years? What is that pathway right there?
Yeah, I started school in 1980 and I finished everything in 92.
Okay.
But I got, really 3 degrees and my doctor of optometry during that period of time. So you could do it in 8 years if you didn't want to get multiple degrees, right?
Do you think that still stands true for today's society? And, with the way you kind of came from your journey, do you think it's pretty much the same thing? People just need to go get it?
Yeah, it's very competitive these days. I mean, optometry school is competitive or even more competitive than medical school because there's not a whole lot of them in the country. So if you're interested in going into eye care, especially optometry, you have to make really good grades in undergrad. I mean, you have to have a 3.5 GPA or higher, and preferably closer to a 3.8 or a 4.0 these days. And then you got to have great letters of recommendation, a lot of community service, a lot of shadow hours at local doctors. You got to take the OAT score, that's the admission score exam, and you got to do well on that. But it's a great field to be in. I've been blessed, because I've been super successful. I had one of the largest primary eye care centers in the country when we had 14 locations. We also
Wow.
owned 3 LASIK surgery centers. And then I was lucky enough to have private equity make me an offer I couldn't refuse about 7 years ago. I sold all the offices except the Lange Eye Institute in the Villages,
Uh-huh.
and we even expanded it even more. I mean, now we have almost 40 exam rooms in the Lange Eye Institute, and my covenant not to compete is over. So I'm going to be opening. This is the first time I've ever announced this on anywhere in the world.
Anywhere. Awesome. Thank you.
We're opening at Lange Eye Institute Ocala. I just put an offer on a big building, a beautiful old building in town, and we're going to build Lange Eye Institute that's going to look kind of like the Ritz-Carlton inside. I'm going to do everything I want, the state-of-the-art technology. It's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be for not only the sighted, but we're going to have a complete low vision wing. So we're going to have the latest advancements in not only magnifiers, but AI technology that helps people see. There's a lot of really cool technology for the vision
Absolutely.
impaired.
Yes, indeed. And, I heard you, as you were, sorry to interrupt you there earlier, but I've heard you talk about some vitamins, and I know I've personally taken, what is it, the Fortify, and then there's plenty different styles, but could you explain that journey? What was that like when you transitioned to get your vitamins and stuff set up?
Right. So I got tired of seeing my patients literally age before my eyes, okay? And they were all taking the typical vitamins you buy over the counter, like the Centrum Silver or the Ocuvite, the Nature Made fish oil, and nothing wrong with these supplements, okay? But I wanted something that I could definitively know where the country of origin is. And not to knock China, but I don't want any of my vitamins coming out of China. So that's one thing we pride ourselves on. We source the best. Our omega-3 oils come from Norway. Our grass-fed whey protein comes from New Zealand. You know, we source the best places on the planet, and we pay a little bit more, but we don't have the huge markups that a lot of these companies do. We're a relatively small company at 4 to 5 Vitamins. I have 8 full-time employees that do the work of 10. So I really have 80 employees, and we're able to keep our costs down. And therefore, we have our Fortify Macular Defense. We have our Fortify Dry Eye, our new eye pressure neurocognitive support for glaucoma and cognitive decline. And we have omega-3 fish oils, the re-esterified triglyceride form, which is the purest and most bioavailable on the planet. Our Fortify Super Omega-3 Max, which, by the way, everybody, no matter what your vision is, should be on a good omega-3. I always preach that if there's only one supplement you took, a good omega-3 fish oil. The
Omega-3.
problem is most omega-3s have ethanol attached to the backbone, and it's very unstable. It goes rancid very quickly. It doesn't absorb. So when you're looking for omega-3, make sure it says re-esterified triglyceride form or triglyceride form, like the Fortify Super Omega or Super Omega Max.
Right.
Dr. Mike, we've got several questions from
Okay.
from
We got the live chat
people,
here too,
people,
Dr. Mike.
people watching, and I've got a couple questions I want to squeeze in myself. But more specifically about what macular degeneration is. In fact, what is macular? But let's get to these questions from our viewers.
Okay. First of all, one of our viewers said, I think that the uncertainty of macular degeneration is a big question. Why do some people get it? And why does it change from dry to wet? And can it stay in the dry form indefinitely? And is there anything other than AREDS vitamins for preventing the wet MD from developing?
Okay, so we better take those one at a time, I guess.
I hope if we need to repeat anything, please let us know.
Great question. So macular degeneration is age-related macular degeneration. So it's a condition that as we age, we're more prone to get, okay? Now, if you don't have a good diet, a healthy diet, if you're dramatically overweight, and you're eating the wrong foods throughout your life and you smoke, you're much more prone to get it. So we have to practice good lifestyle habits, all right? Everybody needs to get down to their ideal body weight. Eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables and clean proteins. Wear a good pair of sunglasses when you're in the sun. When you're on the computer, wear blue filtering glasses to block the harmful blue rays coming from the digital screen that can actually increase your risk of macular degeneration. And so it is genetically predisposed. So if your mother or your grandfather has it, chances are you're going to have more of a risk of getting it. But the question is, you know, what do you do once you have it? And that's one reason we have people that come from all over the country to the Lange Eye Institute in the villages to kind of get our thought rationale. You know, we approach it differently. We don't just say you need an injection or you need this. You know, we adjust your diet. We tell you exactly what foods to eat. Here's an example. Eggs. Okay. Four eggs a week can actually slow the chance of dry macula going to wet macular degeneration. Organic blueberries, orange bell peppers, wild Alaskan salmon, pistachios, and dark green leafy vegetables. These should be in everybody's diet.
Was
goji berries are very good. Goji berries are high in zeaxanthin. That's exactly right.
Now, doctor, there is no actual cure for macular degeneration, right? These are things that might slow the process, but there is no specific cure. Is that correct?
Dave, you're absolutely correct. The dry form is the slowest progressing. It's the type you want. There really is no treatment. I like to say it's a nutritionally, not curable disease, but a nutritionally reactive disease, okay? And the right vitamins, and we're going to talk about the wrong vitamins in a second. I was involved in a study called the BLAZE study, beta-carotene, lutein, alpha-carotene, zeaxanthin absorption study, proving that beta-carotene that's in lots of foods that we eat can actually possibly accelerate macular degeneration because it blocks the important carotenoids. And beta carotene is in just about every vitamin out there. And so if you have macular degeneration, don't eat a lot of carrots, sweet potatoes, or pumpkin. Stay away from those.
That is so wild that, we've heard, as we're growing up, that carrots are the thing that you gotta eat to save your eyesight or help your eyes. And it turns out that, especially if you've got macular degeneration, that may not be the best thing to do.
Probably one of the worst things. You can eat the carrot tops, but not the carrot. No, a carrot every now and then, a sweet potato, a piece of pumpkin pie is okay, but don't make it as mainstream, and never eat it when you're eating your greens, because it does block the absorption of lutein and the other carotenoids.
Now, I've got a question for you in regards to the wet and dry macular degeneration, because we know that there are two different kinds, and I believe that the wet is the worst. But how is there a way to prevent something going from dry macular to wet macular?
Well, probably about 20% are going to go, 20 to 25%, maybe even 30% are going to transition into the wet form. I'd like to think that my patients, that risk is much less. And I've been treating patients for well over 30 years now by, like I said, adjusting their diet and putting them on the right supplement protocol. That can definitely help. Now there's some great new technology called photobiomodulation therapy, and we're getting into that, where they use a series of red lights, yellow lights, and infrared lights to slow down and even reverse some of the drusen that are in the macula and improve your visual acuity. Once again, the key is early detection. And I've been involved in research for developing vitamins for years and years and years. People hear about the AREDS2 formula, the AREDS formula. In my opinion, this is relatively old science, and we've expanded on that and developed some new generation vitamins for macular degeneration.
Along with vitamins, I was reading last week there's a treatment, and I think it's mainly up in Canada, that they use microcurrent, small bursts of power, electricity that can affect macular degeneration. Are you familiar with that? And have you worked with any of that?
Absolutely. Microcurrent stimulation, things like the TENS unit have been around for a long, long time. And in theory, what it does, it helps improve circulation, okay? And it's not a miracle cure by any means. And sometimes you don't want to improve circulation too much if you have a bleed in the retina. So you have to be analyzed very carefully first to make sure there's no bleeding in your retina. But this is also why exercise, cardiovascular exercise, is good, because it improves circulation. But I think the best science, or the latest, is the photobiomodulation red light therapy versus microcurrent stimulation.
Gotcha. One other thing that I was really wondering, I know I've heard Stargard's is a child's form of macular, and of course that's probably more genetic and less environment, since that they're little and they haven't had a chance for some of these other things, like I don't think the 8 or 9-year-old is smoking or things like that. So how would is there anything that children can do, or their parents can do, to help them avoid Stargard's, and compare that maybe with macular wet and dry, if there's any comparison?
It's interesting. Stargardt's is an accumulation of a metabolic waste product called lipofuscin that accumulates in the macula. And we have technology now, 2 different types of technology at the Lange Eye Institute, that looks for this lipofuscin. But remember, this is passed down from their parents, all right? It's a faulty gene, and if I remember, it's called like the ABCA4 gene or something like that, and it's passed down from both of their parents.
So we won't hold you to that, though. Don't worry.
Right. It's genetically predisposed, and it's a tough disease. I mean, and what happens, it affects people at a very young age, and it's similar to, macular degeneration. You get color blindness, you lose your central vision, you become very light sensitive, and you got to probably at a young age start learning about low vision technology while you still have a little vision, so you know how to adapt and overcome.
Right. Yeah. So you can make your plans. Macular, the word macular degeneration. The macular is part of the retina, right? And what happens to to that macular that causes the effect in the vision.
Yeah,
And
so the disease.
what part is the macular, for one thing? Where is the macular?
The macula is the dead center of your retina and is responsible for your color vision and your central vision. And think of the macula as oxidizing or rusting, okay? And it's different levels. Some people very fast, some people very slow. So if it's rusting or oxidizing, we want to use antioxidants to stop the oxidative stress. That's where those vitamins come in, things like lutein, zeaxanthin, astaxanthin, mesozeaxanthin, saffron, certain types of B complex, bilberry. These are all beneficial. Taurine at stopping the oxidative stress in the retina. Now remember, many nutrients do not cross the blood-retinal barrier or the blood-brain barrier. So you got to use nutrients that are effective at getting into that part of the eye.
Dr. Lange, I had a question for you regarding, you mentioned color blindness. Is it color blindness or color degeneration?
Well, color deficiency, all right?
Deficiency.
So,
Okay.
yeah, there's not many people that are truly colorblind. I've never seen one yet. True color blindness would be you only see black and white, no colors at all. But there are color deficiencies, and many diseases can cause color deficiency, where you have a red-green deficiency or blue-green deficiency, and you can't see different hues of colors. But you usually see enough to make it through. You just might not be a fashion designer or, color coordinator. But true color blindness just hasn't existed. I don't know if it does exist. It's usually color deficiencies.
So what causes color deficiency?
Yes, once again, genetically predisposed usually. So genetics inherited from your parents or grandparents. But some things can be disease related, because when you develop macular degeneration, even optic nerve problems, you lose the ability to see lots of colors. So it can be onset, age-related onset and disease, or you can be genetically predisposed to getting a color deficiency, a rod cone dystrophy, or something like this.
Gotcha. I was reading that macular degeneration is actually the largest contributor to vision loss for adults, anyway, for people. So unfortunately, the biggest risk for getting it is the one good thing is that we're getting older, and you don't want to change that part of it. But unfortunately, the older we get, regardless what you do, the age seems to be the biggest risk of all, right?
Absolutely. And you want to age as gracefully as possible, right? So you got to practice the things people can pull off the internet. I've developed something called the Lange Wellness and Longevity Plan. Lange Wellness and Longevity Plan. If they Google that, Lange Wellness and Longevity Plan, I go over the foods to eat, the foods to avoid, the vitamins to take, what exercises to do, how much sleep, how to sleep better, how to hydrate, everything. So it's
not only good for your eyes, but other things as well. I would gather with the right diet, of course. I mean, we're gonna not only your eyes are going to hopefully be better and of course avoid the macular degeneration, but the rest of our body, you want to keep moving, because it gets harder as we get older. That's for sure.
Right. If we make the eyes healthier, then the rest of the body becomes healthier, and vice versa.
Dr. Lange, you mentioned a specific name was different, but it was for glaucoma. I think one of the vitamins was related to glaucoma patients or pressure. Could you explain more about that, please?
Right, Hershi, great question. I was the first in the world to develop a supplement where we combine something called mirtogenol, and that's a combination of European bilberry and pine bark extract. It's called mirtogenol, and it's been shown in multiple double-blind FDA-approved clinical studies to actually lower intraocular pressure, sometimes as much as 30%. So that's great. And then we combine something called Mentix. Mentix is a spearmint extract that has neuroprotective properties of the ganglion cells and the nerve fiber layer in the optic nerve, and it's been studied extensively. So I was the first to combine something that lowers intraocular pressure and also combines neuroprotection at the same time. It's been a huge hit. Doctors from all over the country are recommending it now, because now we have a natural alternative to these glaucoma drops. It's not a treatment or a cure, But a lot of times we have patients that we put on, let's say, Lumigan or latanoprost to lower their pressure, and it doesn't come down quite enough. Now, our next line of defense is beta blockers or alpha agonists that can all make you tired and have weird symptoms. So at least now we have something that's natural we can add to a drug, and it can bring the pressure down to an acceptable level. But it's not the first line of defense for true glaucoma. Medicine or lasers are the first line of defense, but it works great. So here's another example. Let's say you have a patient that's at risk of glaucoma. You can certainly put those patients on this, lowering the intraocular pressure, giving some neuroprotection, so maybe they never have to get treated for glaucoma.
Which would be the best of all worlds, of course. So,
right? Prevention.
I'm going to go out on the limb and ask you a controversial question, and you can answer or not. But in the past, a medical cannabis had been talked about as far as lowering pressure, and it may not be as controlled as some meds, but I wonder what you feel about that.
Well, I think absolutely. If and I have many patients that are taking that. I think if you you've tried everything, you've tried all the drops, you've tried surgical procedures, or let's say you're one of these that just will not have surgery. I have a lot of patients, no matter what, whether it's their religion or just their psyche, they're not going to have surgery. So then, certainly medical marijuana has its place, especially for the glaucoma population, if it's done correctly. If it's a legitimate pharmaceutical grade and it's not bought on the street corner by the crackhead. So it can bring the intraocular pressure down. It can help you relax. So there's some valuable benefits from medical marijuana for the eye if it's prescribed correctly and monitored.
And that of course, is the trick in doing and using it in the correct form, just like all these medications can have good and bad effects. But I know as far as lowering the pressure, that I'm also one that if I can avoid surgery, that would be typically the last possible thing. So at least in our state and in plenty of others around the country, I wanted to mention that as an option.
By the way, before we move along too fast, what is glaucoma?
So glaucoma is when the intraocular pressure, the pressure inside your eye, goes up to a level that harms your optic nerve. It damages the optic nerve, and thus you lose peripheral vision. And it's different for everybody, but you have normal pressure, yet you can have glaucoma. By the same token, you can have elevated pressure and not have glaucoma. So you got to have the technology today to determine this. The technology we have at the Lange Eye Institute is state of the art. And we do tests on everybody that measures the thickness of the cornea, measures their angles, measures their intraocular pressure. On even, a 10-year-old, we're doing this. So we have everything in the very beginning, so we know if there's any change. And then, of course, we do visual field technology, electroretinograms, optical coherence tomography, all sorts of other tests to determine, how aggressive the form of glaucoma is. But in today's society, if you see a competent optometrist, optometric physician, or ophthalmologist, any of those three, they can treat glaucoma. The key is early detection. You got to go to a place that's state of the art. They have all the technology, not to knock some of the, optical dock in the boxes around the corner. You don't want to go there for glaucoma treatment because they don't have that technology. For glasses, it's fine. And they can diagnose with glaucoma, but they shouldn't be treating it. You need to have, probably $500,000 or more worth of equipment to be able to follow glaucoma patients.
So don't go to your local Walmart and say, yeah, my Walmart doctor got me. Right?
Well, it depends on that doctor, because some Walmart optometrists do have a lot of good technology, but most don't.
Interesting. Well, Doc, we're going to take a little break. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying tonight's show. Here we have Dr. Michael Lange out of the Villages. And if you rewind the tape, he said some cool news. But we will be right back here shortly after these words from our sponsors. And don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe, leave some comments down there. We'll try to read them.
The revolutionary Cadence Tactile tablet is your gateway to a new world of electronic access and communication. At Touchable, we're dedicated to bringing the Cadence tablet's true multi-line braille, tactile animation, and powerful learning tools to the worldwide blind community. The Cadence tablet is shipping today and available for purchase at the Touchable online store. Visit gotouchable.com.
Lynn, I'm looking for the lid to the container for the tuna fish. I want to put the tuna fish in the container, but I can't find the lids.
Michael, the lid is under the toaster oven.
Oh, Lynn, come on now. This is ridiculous. What a joke. Lynn, if you would have gotten Mr. Lid, their lids are attached to the containers. This wouldn't be happening, Lynn.
All right, Michael, I'll go to MrLid.com and we'll get organized.
Thank you.
Tired of losing the lids to food storage containers and cluttered cabinets? Well, Mr. Lid containers solve that with their unique attached lid design, making them easier to find, use, and organize. With sizes from half a cup to 1 gallon, they're stackable, food safe, and easy to clean, making your life easier. Get yours today at MrLid.com. Use code BEYOND15 for first-time customers. That's MrLid.com.
At the Carroll Center for the Blind, vision loss isn't the end, it's a new beginning. Since 1936, we have helped individuals of all ages build the skills, confidence, and independence to thrive in a sighted world. From technology training to mobility and career readiness, we don't just teach, we transform lives. Take charge of your vision loss journey. Visit carroll.org.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for joining us on the Blind and Beyond show. I hope you're enjoying tonight's show, especially with the doctor in the house, Dr. Michael Lange out of the Villages out here in Florida.
Oh, by the way, we do have Juju Hot Wheels that says hi.
Hey, Juju.
Let's see. Trying to think if we had some other any other questions. I think that was primarily it. Doctor, I did want to start off with another question. You know, we had talked about macular degeneration as being, such a big clamor of vision loss for adults. When I worked at the Lighthouse School for the Blind here locally, it seemed like the most common eye disease, maybe even bigger than macular, was retinitis pigmentosa, or
Say
RP,
it right,
of
Dave.
course.
The doctor's in the house, man. Retinitis pigmentosa.
I can't, I've got to practice up a few minutes before I say that. So I should have just said RP.
RP,
So,
retinitis pigmentosa.
Could you address RP? What is it? What causes it? And can we do anything about it?
So RP is, once again, it's an inherited retinal dystrophy, okay? And it's a genetic condition that kind of leads to gradual, and I say gradual, degeneration of the photoreceptors in the retina. And it starts with the rods. So the rods are in the peripheral part of your retina, responsible for your peripheral vision and your night vision. So a lot of people will notice their night vision starts to get reduced, and then they start to get peripheral loss of vision where they get down to tunnel vision. And then it can affect your cones too. So it can affect, ultimately, you can get total blindness, retinitis pigmentosa. Remember, retinitis refers to a little bit of inflammation. And so it's really a retinal dystrophy that affects your central vision later in life, peripheral vision and night vision earlier in life. Color vision will be very poor, and it's got a characteristic appearance to it. It has these darkly pigmented little lesions out in the peripheral of the retina that are called bone spicules. And there is some evidence if you start patients on vitamin A and omega-3 fish oil early, and maybe lutein and zeaxanthin, even astaxanthin early in the ball game, it could potentially slow it down. And then there's some retina doctors that I know that have used Depakote, which is a form of it's a drug that can be used to actually slow down visual field loss with this. And most retina specialists aren't even aware of it. Dr. Shalais Kaushal, a good friend of mine, has done a lot of research in that arena. But this is something also ultimately you will become vision impaired if it's worst case scenario and become dependent on some low vision technology. But there is genetic research out there right now, some pretty exciting genetic research. They've reversed blindness in dogs by putting a gene through a virus. And it's only a matter of time now with AI technology that we get to these levels for humans.
I
So it's
know
an
that
exciting time.
the Foundation Fighting Blindness, I know does a lot of stuff with genetic eye diseases
Right.
and does some of these what do you call them, where the case studies and stuff that a lot of times if it wasn't for groups like that, I'm afraid that some of these things wouldn't come about for a whole lot longer time if we were if we were
Now
waiting for.
remember, we see with the brain, not the eye. The eye is the organ that transmits the image to the brain. So we got to keep a healthy brain because mark my words, in the near future. Now the question is, what is the near future? Is it 2 years? Is it 8 years? But in the near future, we're going to be taking people out of the darkness and giving them vision as long as they have a healthy brain. I mean, they've had the Argus 1 and 2, and they've got microchip implants they've worked with, and all that. Like I said, we're going to go 100 years into the future in the next 3 years.
Dr. Lange, are you familiar with the concerto study?
No, enlighten me.
What I've heard is the concerto story, or the words I just said, is related to the dry AMD, and that is the current treatment that they're finding breakthrough with.
Well,
It's for older folks, but if they have not had cataract surgery, they would be more viable for that study, essentially.
yeah, so with dry AMD, I mean, currently for geographic atrophy, they do have some injections that you can use, and that's a form of dry macular degeneration, but it's not approved for just early dry macular degeneration. Currently, you want to follow the appropriate diet, the appropriate supplements, get to your ideal body weight, exercise, wear blue blocking, lenses when you're on the computer, and see your optometrist or ophthalmologist routinely. Make sure you have an OCT test done so they can see a cross-sectional image of your retina. And we even have technology. We recommend that people can monitor their vision and their macular degeneration at home by taking a test called 4C Home PHP, and that detects changes early so that they don't lose vision from the wet form of macular degeneration. But like I mentioned early in the show, the exciting arena is the photobiomodulation therapy. And that right now is the Valita Light Therapy and MD Elite. Those are the only two players in the neighborhood. And as competition comes out, the prices will go down. There's FDA approval of more of these. So when we combine the proper nutrients, the proper diet, the proper vitamins with this photobiomodulation therapy, just maybe people won't be accelerating at the extent they do to the wet form of macular degeneration. And we can prevent this visual destruction.
I did want to ask you another question about RP because you told me about once things start moving along, there's certain things you can do to try to slow down the process. But is there anything that you that we do that causes it initially? I know you said it's a genetic thing, but like macular, there are things you can do, such like you were saying, wearing glasses and diet and all this kind of stuff. Does that still go with the RP, or is that totally different?
Yeah, I think proper diet, once again, I follow people with RP for a long time. And I always see the people that follow the appropriate diet and they're in pretty good shape, they age more gracefully and much slower in every eye disease. But with RP, I mean, you know, there is some gene therapy out there. And once again, I don't recall the exact RPE gene mutation, but there's some injections right now that deliver a gene to the retina, and it can improve some of their vision. It's just that it's expensive. I mean, this gene is like, I don't know, close to $1 million. And so it's not covered by insurance usually.
Yeah,
But
I'll sell my kidney and so I can get that.
that's just the beginning, just like the Argus 2 bionic eye. And that was for advanced RP. You know, it has some benefit, but we'll have the Argus 20 soon. So we'll have more technology that we laugh at the technology today.
Well, talking about technology, I wanted to mention about my eye condition, because when I was born, there was never any optic nerve that ever developed. So, strangely enough, I could see a small amount until I was about 11 or 12, and doctors were trying to figure out why I could, because no optic nerve. So obviously it was taking a different path somehow or another, and I understand now they are starting to do more work with stem cell research, especially with.
Can I ask the same thing? Yeah.
Well, I know it seems as though they're putting more effort into people with spinal injuries though than eyes when it comes to trying to get these millions of nerve cells to grow. So I wonder if you know anything about the research in that area for me, for example. Right. So you know, I have no problem wearing a giant camera on my head if it will work, you know.
Right. Well, stem cell, they've come a long way with stem cells. I mean, we're using stem cells now in the Lange Eye Institute in the villages for corneal problems. We use amniotic membranes that have stem cells infused in corneal problem. Okay, and we have there even drops on the market now that are infused with stem cells, and they're doing other stem cell
tech for us, please. We lost you there for a second. Could you repeat that? You're saying so it's an eye drop that has the stem cell embedded in it?
There are biologics out there that are using amniotic fluid. All right, that they can use for patients. And we have the amniotic membranes that we use on a daily basis in the Center for Corneal Problems that heal the cornea amazingly. And here's another thing. This isn't stem cells, but this is a very expensive drop. It's $100,000 for the bottle called Oxervate. And this is interesting because it helps regenerate nerves in the cornea. And I had a patient that was referred to me, seen by 4 or 5 different corneal specialists in Florida. She had a big hole in her cornea, basically. Nothing was healing it. They were using a bandage contact that was depriving the eye of oxygen. She was referred to me for a scleral contact lens fit to try to help her. And then I determined to start her on the Oxervate. So we got authorization to do it. We got a philanthropic organization to pay for it. She didn't pay a dime. A $100,000 eye drop. It healed her. It has been 5 years. Healed the hole in her cornea, and she was a double amputee from an accident, and she has chronic pain in the lower leg extremity where she doesn't even have the legs. And it's pretty amazing. We have to study this more, but the pain went away in her lower extremities for the first time in years and years from this eye drop. So this is fascinating technology. And basically what I'm, insinuating is, you never give up hope, because right now, if you're vision impaired, if you're totally blind, we might have something that treats you and takes you out of the darkness in the very near future. I'm not talking 30, 40 years from now. I'm talking 3 to 5 years.
And what's so unusual is not just with eye disease and whatnot, but so many different medical problems. One medicine that could have been used for one thing at one point, they find could be used for something else totally different in a different area.
That's how we landed on the treatments for wet macular degeneration. And I don't know how somebody figured this out. Avastin is a colorectal drug. And then somebody determined they're going to inject it in the eye for wet macular degeneration. And it worked.
Somebody's aim was a little off, sounds like. Obviously not done by robots. They would not have made that mistake. But. Jeez.
So for
Yeah.
any of our listeners out there, I want to just enlighten everybody. You know, I've been hosting a syndicated talk show now for over 33 years. It's called Ask the Doctor. And a lot of you hear me on the radio and don't realize it's me. But we got some accolades recently. It's currently the longest running live syndicated medical talk show in the United States.
Oh,
And
Congratulations.
I started on a local AM station in Ocala, April of 1993, and now we're on the Ask the Doctor network all over the country with live video streaming all over the world.
What's
with
the radio
millions,
station's call sign, please?
millions of listeners and viewers. So the simplest thing is to go to, drmichaellange.com, drmichaellange.com, and then go to Ask the Doctor section. You can see all the videos, and you can click on anything so you can live video stream me.
Sorry about that. We're just, the internet is a little in and out with your voice there. So it's Ask the Doctor.
Ask the Doctor.
And that's the show's name. And then if you go to drlange.com.
drmichaellange.com.
Okay, so drmichaellange.com. And I'll definitely post all the information for y'all in the description. So we've covered a lot of topics. And you know what? If I may just take a break real quick, Doc. It's a little moment, a segment that we say thank you to Miss Brenda. So thank you, Miss Brenda, for giving us the opportunity to read all the comments from our chat and what you do for our channel. So thank you.
Standing ovation for Brenda. By
Yes,
the way,
indeed.
do we have any more questions by any chance?
Just that Mandy Van said, thanks for all the good information. It's very helpful. And
Fantastic.
Hersh's going to be linking some information how we can get in touch with Dr. Lange, right?
Yes, indeed.
Right, and you can give them my personal email. You can even give them my cell phone. I mean, I'm available 24/7 to people all over the globe.
For a good time, call Dr. Lange at... No, just kidding.
Yes, indeed.
No, that is some important info, and of course the website would be the easiest to. I love the Ask the Doctor. I do remember running across and listening quite some time ago, and I always
doctor,
love
Dave.
shows like that, huh?
That's the doctor right there.
There
We
you
brought him
go.
around.
Exactly. Now I can ask the doctor without having to call in. So
Right.
that is a beautiful thing.
If people were local, by the way, Doc, where would they catch on the radios out there in Ocala? What is the radio station call sign?
Yeah, Ocala, Gainesville, the Villages, Lake City. That would be the Sky 97.3 FM from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock on Saturday mornings live.
And then I'm sure they have a tune-in flavor. But again, I'm glad that Dr. Mike's saying these things. So if we can, we'll post all the information for you out there. And again, without any other things, what about if something I missed to ask you about? Anything else you want to share? Maybe, it doesn't have to be about eyes and this, but anything else that you want to let our audience know?
If people want to learn more about nutrition, I'm not going to brag, but I've done more research and been involved in the nutritional arena and eye care longer than any doctor that I know of in the country. And they can go to my website, fortify.com, and they can look at supplements, and they don't have to buy the Fortify items, but at least they can educate them under the science section why we put specific nutrients together. And so I give a science section for everything. And so education is so crucial for people. There's a lot of garbage that people buy out there that may do more harm than good. So I believe in educating. So go to fortify.com. That's FORTIFEYE. So kind of a play on words since I'm an eye doctor. Fortify.com.
And because sometimes we do have choices, of
Right.
ways of treatment or prevention, and it's good to know. And I do want to ask you a question. We've been hitting so many different eye disease topics, but I want to know, going back to your early days, what got you into medicine initially, and did you? I have to tell you, I wish I could reposition my camera, because on a personal side, you're from New Orleans, which is one of my favorite places on the planet, and
Right.
You can't tell right here, but I've got a couple New Orleans Jazz Fest posters on the wall.
Look at that. Yeah.
I've got Louis Armstrong hanging right over my Victrola.
There you go.
Right now, and which is right outside of oh my goodness, my the blacksmith shop, Yellow Feet, which I'm sure you're familiar with. So
Yes.
yeah,
I've got a Mardi Gras poster right behind me. Yeah, parade, Mardi Gras poster right behind me. People can see if they can see. Yeah, and my whole
nice.
waiting room at the Lange Institute is all with New Orleans memorabilia and images. My daughter goes to Tulane right now, and my dad was a professor at Tulane Medical School, and he's what got me involved in it. My dad was a rheumatologist, an amazing father, an amazing doctor. And, I used to race competitive motocross, and I was pretty fast. In 1979, I broke my neck, my back, and my right leg in about 5 places in a pretty bad accident racing motocross. And, I thank God every day that I'm alive, because I was supposed to die then. And then I was not going to walk again. And then, I did, triathlons and things after that. And so sometimes I walk with a limp, at the end of the day, but I thank God every day that I'm alive. And I think God uses me as a tool to help people, really. And so I got into eye care because I didn't want to necessarily become, any type of medical surgeon, but I wanted to be able to help people. And Dr. Rodney Khalil is my dad's best friend, and he was an ophthalmologist, and I used to shadow and rotate him. And he used to tell me, here, the eye is the window to the body. And I was into health even at a young age, because race competitively, you had to be in good shape. So I figured, wow, the eye is the window to the body. So I can probably help a lot of people by finding diseases inside the eye before they manifest in the body. And Dr. Khalil said, you're absolutely right. And that's how I ended up going down the path to become an eye doctor.
Oh, very good. Yeah, my ex brother-in-law was a motocross racer and had won a bunch of big time stuff. So he was telling me that basically when you reach about 24 or 25, you're getting near the edge of your
right
your competitive age there. So,
and that's why I love Need for Speed, and I race some pretty wild cars now in SCCA and NASA Racing, and Sebring's my home track here in Florida.
Ah, yes, Sebring, very nice.
So, what are a couple things that you got riding around these days? What were you saying?
I race Vipers mostly, so I have 4 different Vipers. 2 are set up for racing. They're very fast and very powerful. But I've raced everything from Formula race cars to LMP3 prototypes. So I've raced just about everything, and I'm looking at some other things. I'm building a big race barn and a practice track here in the Villages, and we can maybe come back for another show. We can talk about
I really
that.
think I think I might have to come live over there if you wouldn't mind.
See, Doc, that's a perfect place for Hersh to be able to drive your car, don't you think?
There you go. That's right, on the private racetrack. That's true. We don't have to worry about the police or anything.
One thing I was going to mention: does Indy fans fascinate you at all with Indy 500?
Yeah, Indy's very, very, very cool. I've done the closest thing is Formula to Indy racing that I did in the past. Any type of racing. I love Indy. I like Formula One racing. I like sports car racing, anything like that. Of course, I love motorcycles. I still have a lot of motorcycles. My wife just doesn't let me get on them very often anymore.
I think that's a smart thing.
She loves you, so
you could know how to drive. They don't.
Right.
Exactly.
And so I do a lot of mountain biking now. I like mountain biking and road biking. Mountain biking is as close to motocross, a little bit safer, although it can be pretty dangerous. I've hurt myself a lot on mountain bikes, falling off of cliffs. And road biking is about the safest and good for your cardiovascular system.
Yeah, things go so well until those cliffs come along, I was going to mention too, you had talked about Tulane, and me being a big Florida Gator fan, it just so happens our football coach is John Summerall from Tulane. So we're
okay.
And he took Tulane to the highest level possible. I mean, they won
did very well.
That was pretty amazing. A very small school. They did well.
Yeah,
so I bet you University of Florida is in the tops this year.
I'm sure hoping so. He seems like a cool guy and definitely has the right idea, I think. But of course, the proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens. But
Doc, you've been here for quite some time. So FSU, UF, UM, FAU, FIU, UCF? Which one is it?
Answer carefully, doctor.
Wow, that's a good question. I think UF is going to have a great team because Tulane's coach is with them
There you
now.
go.
I think
There you
UF
go.
is well.
Go
It's
Gators!
about time, I really do. Now, Miami was really good this year. That was pretty amazing.
That's true.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
hard for me to root for him, but I did there at the end. I was pulling for him.
I'm
To,
still amazed that Indiana pulled it all off. You know, they didn't
Oh,
lose a
yeah.
game.
yeah, that was impressive.
So,
for
Doc,
sure.
coming to sports and things that we even doesn't matter what site or no site, we've come across like new technologies or people doing audio description and such. What are some new technologies that you've come across lately that you've been impressed yourself and you like, sharing it with your patients or whomever? Anything that's kind of like blown you away personally that says, wow, they know what they're doing?
Absolutely. And recently, Jay Cormier has been a guest on my program, and you can go to my YouTube channel, Ocular Health, Dr. Michael Lange, and watch that about 3-4 weeks ago. And it's Idaptics. Okay. Idaptics is like a pair of Oakley frames, glasses. It looks very good. And it has zoom in technology, zooms in on things in the distance and up close, but it also has AI technology. You can ask it to do things. It can tell you what's in front of you, how far it is away from you. It can tell you what a stock's trading at, all hands free. So it's probably, in my opinion, I've seen a lot of low vision technology. Idaptic is probably the best technology out there if you have some vision. But also people that have no vision are using it because it helps them to maneuver around, if they're at some place and they can ask what's in front of you. And it's getting better and better every single year.
But would it tell you how to find the Blind and Beyond show on YouTube? That's what I want to know.
That's a good question. If it's on the internet, if you're going, Google bots have indexed you, absolutely.
There you go.
One quick one before I let you go there, Dr. Mike, is if other people have other disabilities such as multiple sclerosis, why do most typically go point right at the eyes? Could you explain the connection between the eyes and multiple sclerosis?
Right. So one of the biggest things with MS is it affects the nerves, as you know, right? And the muscles, and it can affect the optic nerve, and you get something called optic neuritis. It's an inflammatory condition of the optic nerve. When you get it, it's almost a telltale sign that you have MS and vice versa. And we treat that with steroids usually. And the key with that is detect it very early because you can lose significant vision if we don't treat it appropriately. Because oftentimes you have pain on eye movement, some blurred vision. They might go to a doctor that's not equipped and doesn't have the technology. And they might say, yeah, you got a little red eye. We'll put you on an antibiotic. And they don't treat it right. And then you have a big problem. You have permanent loss of vision. So optic neuritis goes hand in hand with multiple sclerosis.
So the theme is eat healthy first. Protect your eyes no matter what condition you have. If it's RP, glaucoma, macular degeneration, AMD, wet AMD, any of those. Is that kind of the theme? Would you say that's kind of the underlying for everything, just to take care of your health, eat well, exercise, to be
Absolutely.
healthy?
Follow my Lange wellness and longevity plan. Print that up and follow it to the T. That's the Lange survival diet I created. It's a combination of the Mediterranean diet, the paleo diet, the ketogenic diet, all in one. I took all the bad stuff out that causes us to bloat and have inflammation. So it's an anti-inflammatory diet called the Lange survival diet. And it really can help, not just with the eye, but overall health. Remember, vision is only one of your senses. And so people with vision impaired, they own it on other senses. And we don't want those to go by the wayside. So you have to practice these good nutritional habits and lifestyle changes so you can be healthy enough to accept the new technology that's coming very soon.
Doctor, I did want to ask you one more question, if I may. You talked about trying to go to an eye doctor regularly, and I can't see, and my vision is not changing, but I understand that it's important to get your eyes checked fairly regularly, even if you're not noticing a difference, or if you're, like in my case, totally blind, because there are things that can happen, different eye diseases and stuff. And comment, if you would, how often someone should go to see an eye doctor, and how would they choose a doctor? For example, for me, if I'm don't have any specific problems, but How do I decide what doctor to go to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I recommend seeing somebody that is in tune with some holistic approaches, some natural approaches, okay? Because they're going to take it as total body wellness, not just the eye. I mean, if you're blind, a lot of doctors are going to say, there's nothing we can do. What are you doing here? I've never told a patient that. I have many, many blind patients that can't see anything that see me because, we not only help their vision, we help the brain. Remember, you see with the brain, the eye is just the organ. And then I give them hope. Hope is a very powerful thing. You got to have hope.
Sure.
What's coming down the pipe? I stay abreast of these changes.
Well, how often would should people be checking for things like, particular eye disease, like glaucoma, for example? Even though they don't,
Right.
I don't see it, so I may not get some of the symptoms. But how often would you check for something like that?
Well, glaucoma is the sneak thief of your sight. You have no symptoms until it's too late. And so, as a rule of thumb, as long as it's not inconvenient, you can afford it, an eye exam once a year. Remember, the eye is the window to the body, so we can detect many systemic illnesses through an eye exam. You have routine blood work all the time, through your primary care physician, and we can detect plaque building up in the eyes. We can detect hypertensive changes, diabetic changes, even sexually transmitted diseases, collagen vascular diseases like lupus and arthritis through the eye. So you can use an eye exam combined with your primary care physician as a form of preventative medicine. So I say annually, but at least every 2 years if you're healthy.
That makes sense, and I know it's important to just like going to a regular MD, family doctor. It's important, even if you can't see, to make sure your eyes are in good health, because you don't want glaucoma can be very painful, and it can cause all kinds of damage, even if you can't see already. So, got to go to see the good doctor. If you can see Dr. Lange or somebody else that's qualified in your area. And doctor, once again, if you would tell us your web address so people can find you, and so they can check out the Ask the Doctor show, which I'm going to be checking out this next weekend for sure.
Right. The simplest one, I've got about 40 websites, but the simplest one is just going to drmichaellange.com, and that'll link you to my vitamin company, the Lange Eye Institute, to my radio show. So drmichaellange.com.
Perfect.
That's
Dr.
Lange.
Yeah, correct. And again, Dr. Lange, I just want to say a deep thank you. Appreciate you taking the time tonight to talk to our audience and go down the gamut of so many vision, they're not issues really, but what do you call them?
Super interesting, and a lot of people have been asking. So.
Yeah, and if you ever want to come back, please, if you want to talk racing next month, come on back. We could talk racing. We don't have to talk about eyes. Anything you'd like to talk about. So I really do appreciate your time, and if there's anything that we could do for you, please stay in touch with us, and we'd love to help.
Right. Well, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me as a guest. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, I'd love to come back. You just let me know when.
Sounds great.
We'll be ready to head over there for the...
Hey, I'm running those cars. Yes, Dave. Thank you, Dave.
Exactly. I'll be anxious to go over there to check out Hershi driving that car one of these days.
The roar of a Viper going down. I wonder if that's a 10-second car. Hey, you might have an app there, Dave. You might use the app to see if you went 10-second car. How many seconds you went? You just use that app, Dave.
We can do that.
We could try.
Doc, thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc.
You've been
All right.
super fun and interesting, and I know a lot of our viewers have been asking for you for a long time. So, and now they can check out your site and also Ask the Doctor show. So, you have a good week. We'll catch up to you soon.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and
guys.
thank you so much. Take care.
All right. The good Dr. Lange.
Yes,
I love that.
indeed.
Some very interesting and some good information and some current stuff that's happening. So,
And I felt bad we went all over the place, but he kept up with us, Dave. So much thank you to the doctor for explaining all the different ailments that we could get with blindness.
exactly. Hey, we got another exciting guest coming up here.
Don't we?
Hour 2 coming on up. So Are
hey,
you
if you
ready?
haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I think. Have you
yeah,
hit it? Have you hit the like
Like,
button?
subscribe, all that stuff. You can make comments.
And
Only if they're nice, of course.
I read them. It's okay if they don't have to be nice. But if Miss Brenda, is there anything else coming in from the chat, please?
Yes, if you see any other important chat questions, you can let us know. But so we do think.
So you know what was really interesting is amongst the shows, we ran into a little slight glitch. But Dave, do you ever have an issue where you're trying to figure out how to do something like a sighted person, and then like with your voiceover on your phone?
No.
No?
Yeah, all the time. Are you kidding? you know, voiceover. I'll tell you, it's it's been such it's such a wonderful thing.
Oh,
Such
not that
a
voiceover. Sorry,
No,
I was trying to go voiceover.
It is such a wonderful tool. However, when it's working, it is great, and when it's not, it can sure be it can be a handful. And I think we've got a guest that knows something about that.
He does, but you know what? Let me rewind the tape. Since running around these streets of YouTube and Facebook and let's call it Facebook, because that's where I believe I met this gentleman before, at least his name. And we obviously went through COVID and all those different ailments along our journeys, whatever you want to call that.
Don't forget to announce him properly. I've got a big drum roll for him.
Yes. So along that journey, we were led to different groups of people that brought us content. And if you recall, if you rewind the tape, as we said 2 episodes ago, we had our guest Pete Lane on. And Pete mentioned that he is part of this organization, or has helped with part of the organization called Blind Abilities. Well, funny enough, if you say a person's name 3 times on the internet, they'll hear you and they'll leave a comment down there. As I said, please leave a comment down below. I'll read it.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's
say it 3 times.
Hello, but no, our friend. I call him a friend. Call him a mentor of our community. I call him an interesting woodworking man. I don't know. We have a lot of questions here stacked up, but without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Jeffrey Thompson from the Blind Abilities community.
Hello,
How's
gentlemen.
that? Good evening, my friend.
Good evening.
How are you? Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Dave Hershi.
Yes.
I just enjoyed your previous shows, and I was listening into the Dr. Lange. Good show.
Well, you know what, Jeffrey, you started this stuff. I call it stuff, but this thing about community. Before we even get there, where do you come from, sir? Like, where were you born?
What planet?
Minnesota.
Minnesota
Friendly,
planet.
friendly.
Very
right.
good.
No, but
The cold country.
So, born and raised Minnesotan.
Yep.
And were you born with sight loss, or did you have any visual impairments when you're born? Or could you explain your sight loss journey, or either journey?
That started around 36, 37, right in that area. It's called angioid streaks, where the central vision is impacted. Something like Stargard's. I have peripheral, and as I get older, I notice my brothers and sisters, they all have reading glasses. They don't have any blindness, but they all have reading glasses, or they're holding something far away or something like that. But so I'm sure my eyes are getting old as well. But angioid streaks, the central vision is gone, so I can't see exactly what I'm looking at. So it's screen readers and voiceover, JAWS, that type of stuff.
But do you currently have some peripheral vision and you can see a little bit, can you?
Yeah, I can get by in familiar areas pretty good. Like I just went to Tennessee and I brought my cane every inch of the way.
Sure.
It really helps out other people to understand why I'm not looking at them correctly or walking, directly to where I'm supposed to be.
And speaking of which, we have a lot of people that can see just fine that are watching the show, and I want them to all realize that when we say someone is blind, it doesn't mean it's necessarily totally black. There's so many different degrees of blindness, from being able to see to a degree and get around without a cane, even to a small amount, to being totally blind and totally black, let's say. But very few are completely blind. I've found over the years. So when someone says blind, it doesn't mean that they absolutely cannot see anything.
Right. I always call it a little bit of proximity. If I'm in a group of sighted people, I'm the blind guy. If I'm in a group
Right.
of blind people, I might be considered the partial.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, the low, high, partial, all of that.
Gotcha.
So with your education, did you go to a public school type of thing or blind school?
Yeah, I went to, I was in high school and I got into the printing industry, and one of my first big jobs in printing, I started in 10th grade through the work program, but I moved on when I was 18. I went to a place that was printing the Sports Illustrated swimsuit calendars, and I thought,
Woohoo!
this looks pretty good.
Good first job, right?
Hey, so I stepped up to that, and a year and a half later, I was running the big machines, and
Wow.
it's probably me and this other guy were probably the youngest ones running the Heidelberg presses back then, the six
Is that the
color.
90s, 80? What decade is that, you said?
Oh, geez, 80s?
80s?
Although,
Okay.
although you were at a serious a handicap right off the bat, being in Minnesota and doing bikini, swimsuit things, I would think it'd be a bit cold up there for that. So,
Yeah, well, 2 weeks later, we went on to other things, and I still remember that day I walked in there and I saw them coming off the presses. It was impressive to see such a high profile account, and the clientele that they were addressing compared to some of the stuff I was printing. And then I went on to print art reprints, and a lot of professional artists came through there, a lot of clients from New York and West Coast as well. So it was the Cadillac of printing that I was in. And then when I was 36, 37, I moved on, but there was a glitch in my eye. I went to the eye doctor, just like Dr. Lange, and they were shocked to see this angioid streaks, and they called everybody in the office to come look at it because they've never really seen it. So I went down the next day to a specialist, and they started laser surgery, and he said I'd probably go blind after a few surgeries and all this stuff, and they kicked me out and off to state services for the blind it was.
I was gonna say, if I'm going to go blind, hey, you might as well stop shooting the things at me there, the lasers at me. Then.
Since
Yeah.
technically it is Mental Awareness Month as well, but in that situation there for you, where were you and what were you thinking and feeling once you found out that, you're going through these surgeries and things, like where were you in your mindset when that happened to you?
I think I never experienced shock before, but I think I was in it because I wasn't really grasping. I was thinking, I get to retire early. I was just thinking, but after about 6 months of sitting around doing really nothing, I couldn't read a screen. I couldn't, without, sparking my nose on the screen or something like that, or the TV or something. So I did get JAWS, and I started to fumble around with that and stuff. And so I went down to Vision Loss Resource, a place in Minneapolis here, and I took a tour of it, and I walked out to my mom and said, I ain't going there. A bunch of freaks. I ain't going there.
Right? No,
Well,
I get that.
They called me 3 months later, and I was so bored that I went down there. 2 weeks later, I thought they were some of the greatest people I ever met. The
Yeah, I mean,
challenges that
At
some
first, you're
people
thinking, I don't know if I
have.
want to hang out with a bunch of blind people.
Well,
But
they're thriving, and I was sitting around.
well, that's the thing. You don't want to be reminded that you're not living up to your potential there. So
Exactly. And these people had, what I would say were conditions that were beyond what I would ever want. And okay, I'll take this blindness thing, the low vision blindness, I'll take that, but I don't want that or that or that.
right.
Anyways, but still, these people, I was witnessing people succeeding and doing things, and they just did things, and I wanted to do things, and how are they doing it? So you start, you get taught stuff at a school, But when you see your peers doing things, that's really an
The
incentive.
hands-on moment where you got to get
Exactly.
out of your comfort zone, I guess.
And
Yeah.
plus, in knowing that these people are not like superhumans, because there are some blind folks that I put into that category. They can do some amazing things.
Oh
The
yeah.
folks that are driving their bike around the city by clicking their tongue. That's pretty amazing. But you know, there are a lot of things that we can do that are not necessarily so amazing. They just a lot of folks that can see don't realize that it's possible. Just a
So
minor.
Jeff, real quick, in Minnesota, graduating out of high school and stuff, were you this guy with a guitar and being a rock band and stuff, or drums? Like, were you a musician at all, or who was Jeff? Who's that guy?
I was a printer. I mean, I was really good at printing and everything like that. And my dad told me one time, if you can't afford it, you better learn how to do it. So that's where my DIY came in, doing things like that. And I had woodworking tools and all that. And when I went to my second school, my first school had a wood shop downstairs, but I said, I can't do that. I'm blind. I just believed that. Well, my second school, I went to Blind Incorporated, and they had a click ruler. And I sat down in class and I clicked it like about 4 or 5 times and I figured it out. And within 10 minutes, I had mastered the click ruler. There was a student sitting next to me. I showed him how to use it. And then I just got up and went over to a saw and realized how I could use this thing. 4 months later, it's a 9-month program. I graduated in 4 months, but they hired me to teach.
Wow.
I was going to the U of M at the time, so I had to finish
I
up
want to
that.
take that class, man. I've never used a click ruler before. I could do
Yeah.
that. That would be cool.
Could you
Yeah.
gentlemen describe what in the world a click ruler is? Because some people are like, huh? Click what?
A click
Yeah.
rule
And,
is,
and how can you do that? How can you saw without chopping your fingers off?
well, you pay attention.
Very close.
Body
Safety
position,
first.
body position. A click rule is a device that it's like a 6-inch aluminum tube sticks into shaft sticks into this tube, and when you pull it all the way out, it's 12 inches. Only 6 come out, but there's certain blocks on it, so you hook it around the back of a block and then pull it up. But you can index it with a spring and a little clicker thing that as you go in, it goes click, click, click. That's a 16th, and there's little like pieces of rice along this shaft that represent half-inch marks. So if you count those, 3 of them would be 1.5 inches,
You can get
but
very
if you go by the
specific.
back
Yeah.
block, you add 6 to that. So it's 9.5. So then you have extensions and all that, but that replaced the tape measure and the pencil. Because now you just made a template. If you want something 10 inches, hook it on the back of the board, slide it over, tink it against the blade, cut it. Or
You
set
know
the
what?
fence so
we
far
were in
away.
Minnesota, but you had mentioned Tennessee, and I know we have some of our audience members that are from Tennessee. You were doing something special in Tennessee, as you were telling me during the week. Could we go to Tennessee real quick, and could you tell the audience what were you doing up in Tennessee?
George Wurzel had a wood turning shop. I used to work with George Wurzel. He actually, when I left Blind Incorporated, he taught there for a little while. Then he went out to Napa, and when he would do summer show, has students come out for some events, he'd ask me to come out there, and I would help him. I'd be his assistant. His grunt, but
Yes.
I would always learn. Anytime I'm around George, I'd always learn from him. So I would be out in Napa for a couple weeks, 3 weeks or so like that each summer. And then he was having an event where some people from California were going out there for wood turning. So he called me up and says, "Hey, you can come out and do a podcast." And, so I went out there. I was the only one from Minnesota, and they were all associated with each other. But we all became good friends real quick and learned some wood turning. And yeah, it was a good experience. Plus, I got to catch up with George again.
So
And
in the blind community, as we call it, there is such a community of blind wood turners, right? Is the proper way to say it?
well, that was a wood turning class. I belong
Class.
to a group called the Woodworkers for the Blind. That's
Oh,
ww4b.org. And that's a list. And we used to meet once a month. I used to do a podcast on it and put it up on their website. Um, and it's just a bunch of people that, share ideas and learn and suggest that type of thing. So it's not that busy of a website, but sometimes they go off on a little tangent here and there, less from, it was something that I might be interested, something that I might not be interested. But there's There's people there that have done a lot of things.
So wood turning, what is that specifically?
You take a block of wood on a lathe and you chip it with
A lathe is like a circular, like
it spins. It
spinning.
spins. So that's the turning part of it. Then you take a chisel on a rest and that's exactly how it sounds. And you get it down so it's round, and then you turn and you dish out a bowl, or you dish out into a cup, or you make, some people were making shot glasses, some make whiskey barrels, some were making
Now you're talking.
all sorts of little trinkets and stuff. It was kind of a beginner's level. And I've always said woodturners that's a whole different breed of woodworkers.
I mean, it really sounds like a cross between, art really and woodwork, a kind of a combination of two different skills there.
Yeah, it's like saying someone that does the Mona Lisa probably doesn't do pottery, but
Right.
it's still art.
The nerd question
woodturning
is, how many
is-
years have you been collecting all the gear for woodworking? Is probably a better question. Like, do you have
What-
a lot of gear, or or is it just a couple of things that you have and it you could do with?
Oh, in the wood shop?
Yes.
Well, when I was teaching, I taught for over 5 years, and then some other stuff. I slowly would acquire the stuff I needed to make a project. I didn't just go out and buy all in one day, put a shop together. I wanted a table saw. First I wanted a miter saw, then a table saw. And I never thought I would want a table saw, because I thought that's crazy. But it is the heart of your shop, that and the miter saw. Then I got a drill press. Now I have a planer. Oh, geez, a router table.
Now, where are you located at the moment? Are you
Right
in
now?
Florida or Tennessee?
Minnesota.
I mean, you are in Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So what's it like up there? You starting to warm up? You getting into the spring?
It's a slow spring this year. It's a slow spring. So, yeah, enough that you have to do a little yard work, get the gardens ready, stuff like that. But it's not today the wind chill was a little cold, so it's cooled down a little
Well, I
bit.
kind of wish you were down here, because I at this point I don't know anyone that's doing any teaching of woodwork, but that sounds like that would be something really interesting, especially the artistic touch to it. Because it really.
It's a great outlet.
Yeah, it sounds like it's so many different, ways of going about it. Hey, I got to ask you, being in Minnesota, do you know where North Mankato is?
Yes.
I've got a friend from North Mankato, so I always have to ask everyone in Minnesota.
Okay, fine. Do you know where Owatonna is?
Owatonna? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's doing good, Dave. He's doing good.
2 for 2. Okay, you pass.
Yeah,
He's
I bought
real,
a Roomba
okay.
in Owatonna, and I played a hockey tournament down there when I was younger. And I played. It's been 3 years, 3 years, but I was playing with. During the COVID, I was playing with the U.S. Paralympic hockey team.
Oh wow. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you were part of a list-serve group of woodworkers. On that list, without divulging anything too much, do you remember seeing anybody in Florida by any chance on that group, or know of anybody? I'm just putting you on the
Not
spot there.
offhand.
Okay.
Pete Lane, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
No,
he does
he's-
do everything, so
He's
it
not
would
a
not surprise
woodworker.
me.
No. Okay. Hey, Pete.
He might pick it up though. That'd probably be his next. He is very
maybe he'll be
talented,
making
so-
guitars by next year.
There you go. I could see that happening. Well, being a guitar player, and you're a woodworking guy, I wondered, have you ever approached anything like that?
Well, like I said, I thought I would never want to do turning. I thought those guys were freaks, and it's a whole different world. I'm what they call a flatboard. You buy a plank of wood and you make a birdhouse or something.
Gotcha.
Tables and all that stuff. You'll
Well,
never
you're
find.
gonna tell me that being a freak wasn't so bad. Eventually, you decided.
I know. Every time I say that, pretty soon, a couple years later, I'm doing it.
So hey, well, I don't mind being a freak. I can do that.
Well,
But
you know what?
But
Go ahead.
guitars
One
are.
time being a nerd was a bad thing, and now being a nerd is cool. Supposedly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff. You were saying something.
Guitars are a whole different breed of woodworker, luthier, I guess they call them.
True. Yep.
Yeah, you got the neck, the precisionness of the neck, the arc. Are you going to have a oval or a V neck, or are you going to have,
Right.
what kind of body, what kind of wood are you going to use,
Well,
And
the funny thing is these days, one thing that's very popular, especially in the Ozarks and stuff like that. Some people make these really funky guitars out of all kinds of different things. They repurpose and whatnot. So it's not necessarily. I'm not necessarily talking the really high end guitars, because there are people doing bluegrass music that are, they got two strings on a on an old pole or something.
on a bucket and a broom handle.
Exactly. Yeah. Get some awesome bass sounds out of that. But
Oh yeah,
Well,
that's what the boom boom's for, right?
that's it.
So with all the different instruments, as you're saying, you picked up this instrument along the way of building something that the community likes to listen to, and that is the Blind Ability Show.
Yeah.
When was that born?
Well, it was actually born when I was teaching. I knew I was leaving teaching, and I thought, well, how could people get information out to all the students that don't live in the metropolitan area, like outstate? Not everybody is fortunate enough to have a counselor or a TVI that's, minutes away or anything like that, or sometimes you don't even have good internet. But teachers and counselors do travel. They'll travel within a 70-mile radius, to get to some, but that means you're not going to get it every day. That school might not get a district teacher, every other week, so you don't get that. So I thought about talking about getting the Blind Abilities app. It actually started out with an app, and I wanted to put that in the palm of the hands of the students that are outstate. And so Blind Abilities was created after we started with the audio boom. I had the Blind Abilities channel from these people from England. They gave me a channel and started a channel. We had over 800,000 downloads.
Nice.
Or 800,000, I don't know if you call them downloads on that venue. The podcast, we call them downloads. But I think they called them listens or something like that back then. So when that was failing, I felt like it was sand and we wanted some concrete. So I started building Blind Abilities, and I talked to Pete Lane. I met him on Audio Boom, and he came on, and it was quite the thing. He did this demo one time where he held his microphone between his phone and his computer and his speakers, and that's how he did his mixing. And it was really cool because he tried, and he sent it to me, so I edited it up and I used it. And then I said, we got to get you some better equipment. So I worked with him, and he got going on Amadeus Pro and stuff like that. And now I had a partner in crime, right? And
You've created a monster.
Yeah. And so I started building the website. I wanted something concrete that I can control that wouldn't disappear. And podcasts were out there. So we started doing podcasts, and that's when Blind Abilities started. So, and we went on and on, a lot of 101s, I always thought that there's new people coming on into the community all the time, and I didn't want to ever go too far up the podium and talk down to people. I wanted to be there to greet them on that first step. So basically iPhone 101 was born, and kept that going for the longest of time. And the different iterations came along. Different groups of people. The podcast got more popular.
Yes, a few namesakes, Miss Serena and Brian Fischler, Rocky, aka Raquel. Was there Angie? Was there her name I'm thinking?
Yeah, Angie Fisher. Let's see.
Yeah, okay, that's who I was thinking the other name.
That's one thing I wanted to bring up too, that we had mentioned in previous shows. Of course, we have a lot of people that can see, but predominantly the show is for a lot of blind folks. And but we personally, Hersh and I, we listen to all kinds of podcasts and YouTube shows for the blind and sighted. And so we're Blind and Beyond show. We're not competing against these other shows. We love these guys, and we want to spread the word about blind abilities, as well as other shows that are out there, because we're on the same team. We're trying to educate the public, and as well as trying to help blind people to be able to do some cool stuff and enhance their lives. So, I want to make sure people realize we're not competing against these guys. We think that they're all very important, and they've all got a very important spot in the community. So we greatly appreciate what you're doing, and
Do I have to say the lady's name 3 more times or 2 more times? Maybe they'll come onto the show. How does that work, there, Jeff? Is that how you came onto the show?
Yeah, remember say it 3 times, and it will be so.
That was funny. Yeah, that was a good show. It was fun to hear Pete's perspective.
Yes, indeed.
Of the journey that we were both on, and he was right on. And it's really neat to. I'm a teacher, so it was really neat to show Pete some tools and see him take off with it. I didn't have to be there all the time. He just needed a couple, nudges in that direction, and he'd always ask some questions, and boom, he's off again. And how'd you do this? How'd you do that? So it's sharing that stuff, and just like listening to your YouTube channel, it's neat to meet these people. You can't do everything out there. You're just a part of the scene, part of the community, and that's what makes it a community. And just being part of it, being that other voice that's amongst everyone. So I really like that aspect of it.
Very
Awesome.
nice. Hey, we want to say hi to Daniel, and for DAL that's listening.
Hey, Daniel.
A shout
Hope
out to
you're keeping
Daniel.
well.
And we're going to take a short break and get a word from our sponsors, but we will be right back. And we got all kinds of cool stories to tell and to learn a little more about our fine guests. So don't go anywhere. Grab a cup of coffee or an adult beverage or something, and stick with us for a few minutes. We'll be right back.
Guide Dogs for the Blind believes everyone deserves to live the life they want to live and to move through the world safely and confidently. That's why we offer a variety of programs at no cost to our clients. We match people who are blind or visually impaired in the U.S. and Canada with exceptional guide dogs. Guide Dogs for the Blind also provides a free orientation and mobility immersion program for people interested in learning the skills relevant to guide dog mobility. And our K9 Buddy program matches select dogs who are not suited to be guide dogs to be pets for people who are blind or visually impaired, including children and their families and adults of all ages. All of this is made possible by our generous donors and the help of thousands of incredible volunteers. To learn more about our life-changing mission, please visit guidedogs.com or call 800-295-4050.
There's so many days where I just want to pretend I'm not going blind, and I can't. With retinitis pigmentosa, the unknown is everlasting. What I want most is to stop this in its tracks. It all really boils down to my family, seeing my beautiful wife, seeing my kids. If only I could have more time. My hope here with the Foundation Fighting Blindness is to drive towards a cure. Donate now or get involved at fightingblindness.org.
Figuring out what comes next can feel uncertain, especially for teens and young adults who are blind or have low vision. At New View, Oklahoma, our Navigate Transition program helps young people move confidently into the next chapter after high school, whether college, career, or both. Navigate builds independence, skills, and self-confidence for what comes next. Through this immersive 2-week experience, young adults learn alongside peers while practicing real-world skills like financial management, meal preparation, assistive technology, orientation and mobility, and navigating the community. Participants also explore careers, build resumes, practice interviews, connect with professionals, and experience job shadows. Spots are limited and the program is offered at no cost. Learn more at newviewoklahoma.org. That's newviewoklahoma.org.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on the Blind and Beyond show. We're talking with Mr. Jeffrey Thompson from Minnesota and part of the Blind Abilities team. We also got my co-host here, Dave Hillebrandt, and it's always a fun time hanging out with Dave and his guitar, and hopefully we don't have any comments. Do we there, Dave?
I don't think we've got any more comments.
Yes, you do.
We do. Wait a minute.
Important deal.
News break.
Brother in ICU.
What? I'm sorry. What's that again? ICU?
Yeah, he said he's sitting in the hospital with his brother in ICU.
Oh my goodness. Well, our prayers go out to Daniel's brother in ICU. So we hope everything turns out well. And
to our brother. Yeah, I just want to take a moment of prayer to all strength is with you, brother. And yeah.
Hopefully we can give you a little stress release, and you can get a little chuckle, if nothing else, while you wait. So we appreciate your support, and of course we're praying for good things for bro. So that's good.
And you know, it's all about family, friendship, and community, as we were saying. Because even the ham radio family, we all are a strong bonded group of people, and we've never met some of each other, but through connections of, hey, what's your call sign? Ham radio, N4DAL.
I got
Thank you so much for your support.
all over the world, literally. That
Well, he knew you, and I know you, and this is a small world. And now we know this guy named Jeff Thompson, and he's from Minnesota. So let's go ask him about more stuff over there. Maybe he's a ham radio operator. You want to ask him that? Yeah.
He probably does a little bit of everything. Well, I know he's a woodworking man.
He's well skilled, man. I mean, I'm teacher. Jeff. You mentioned teacher. What kind of teacher are you, sir?
I'm one that likes to get to know the person before I know how to teach them.
What type of stuff do you teach?
I taught, well, when I was printing, I always liked to teach the helpers how to do the feeder job, how to do my job, because if I had people supporting me that were as good as I was, we're quite a team then, because they will start to think like I do, and hopefully we get a better product out like that. And then when I went into woodworking, you get to know the person, and you get to know their tendencies, their voice changes, and so when they're working on something that they're nervous about, you can read that, so you teach to the students, you don't have a one manual, one size doesn't fit all. You teach to the student and try and bring them further. I never produced any carpenters to say, but if they were sitting at their table at home one day and the leg was a little wobbly and they reached underneath it and noticed that there's a wing nut or a nut that they could tighten up and the leg straight, boom, that's
afraid
success.
to do it.
Yeah, it's not broken. It just needs to be, discovered and addressed a little bit.
Now, as far as your printing goes, though, I'm kind of interested. Do you? I know you can see a bit. Have you taught anyone with a vision problem to do printing? Because I'm sure you don't have to necessarily see it to operate the machines anyway.
Printing, to me, when I walked away from printing, that was one of the greatest things that I liked, in a sense. Even though I was at the state-of-the-art printing place and all that, the chemicals, the toxicity, the fumes, everything that came with it, I got to ditch. I got to walk away from it.
Yeah, there's some heavy-duty smells. I've been to printing places before.
My hamper, I'd go to my hamper and pull my clothes out and it'd be like, whoa. And that was a daily thing. A lot of overtime, a lot of time spent away from the family in a sense, a lot of the toxicity of it. I was glad to walk away from that. And then I got to go to college, and that just opened up my mind to the possibilities of doing things. And with the tools that I was being taught, I realized, I can still do that. I can compete, I can level the playing field a little bit. I mean, that was the beginning of JAWS and beginning of a few things, but as we go through today, some people always say, now is the right time to be blind. Well, back then it was pretty much the right time, and today it's just different.
It's what you make it, of course.
It's different for the sighted people today, too. So
you mentioned Windows, and we've talked about a couple different products along the conversation tonight. When did you work with Windows, or how long did you use JAWS, or are you still using JAWS, or do you use both Mac and JAWS?
Well, I
What's
still
your
have a laptop with JAWS,
okay?
but basically, when I was doing audio boom and stuff, my computer froze up, and so I decided I'm going to try the Mac because I wanted to get into audio, more audio, and I knew that was way to go back in those days.
What is back in those days? Just to give a time frame for our audience.
2012, 13, 14.
Okay, yeah, good
You know,
stuff.
you didn't have the fan motor that the PCs were known for. You didn't have I always thought PCs had a weird audio, I forget what you call it, but anyways, they had some glitches, and I went with the Mac, and like they say, you don't look back. Oh no, I went with the Mac because things worked, and I got Amadeus Pro, and that worked for me, and I'm still using it today, and
I think
that's
I
what I
asked Pete
use.
the same thing, but why not Logic?
Well, it's three times the price, and
Okay,
it's and the other thing is it goes to a level that is almost unnecessary.
got you.
It'd be like buying a Porsche to go get groceries.
Understood.
That's
Because
for
I mean,
Dr.
between
Lange.
Final Cut and Logic, one main thing a lot of people have said, and even I've seen people say it often enough when you've commented on Facebook, trying to help different groups with the different assistive technology groups. Oh, well, Mac's not accessible like that. VoiceOver doesn't work with everything. Oh, you need to go to JAWS because they all use Windows, Microsoft Office, and this and that. Do
Well,
you
it's
find?
funny. I literally just listened to a podcast earlier today, Double Tap, I'm sure you're both familiar with, and
Sean
they're
Priest and them, yep.
doing that famous debate
Who?
of
I'm kidding.
PC, yeah, PC versus Mac even today, and they were talking about how
Well, we want
certain.
to know from Jeff Thompson. Jeff, what do you think, man?
Yeah, what do you think? Do you ever have any trouble with Safari not waking up and not doing what it's supposed to? And uh,
No, I'm I'm not a web guy on my Mac. On my phone, I am. I really use my phone a lot. I use my Mac for the tools to do audio production, um, and podcasting, that type of stuff. I found that the web on either the PC or the Mac, you're really going out there. Then you start talking about accessibility, all this other stuff, and you start griping, and
and
pretty
lots of
soon you're
variables too. Since every site is a little different, and
yeah. So I like apps on my phone. I use the apps like if I go to Facebook or if I go to Amazon or something like that, I use that type of thing. There's a couple websites I use on my Mac. And basically I like the PC with JAWS when I'm doing Word production.
right. So
Um,
tools
yeah.
for different purposes.
If there was age groups, if I'm talking to 14-year-olds that are heading up towards, their senior high,
Yes.
that type of stuff,
Hmm.
and thinking about their future and stuff, I would highly suggest that they learn NVDA or JAWS, or the PC, at least the PC, and probably JAWS to really get a good base on that. Because when you go to college and when you go off into the workplace at some point, I would say there's a bigger percentage of companies that are using databases that stuff will probably blend in with, and you don't have to, um, do too much. If you're going to use a Braille note and all that stuff, I know they got the Evolve that just came out that's using a PC, but I would say your best bet is to get out there and have JAWS as a tool in your toolbox. And as for the Mac, if that's what you like, that's what you like. But I'm thinking that you're going to run into problems because you're going to have to bring over Microsoft Word onto the Mac. Well, I don't think Microsoft Word really makes it perfect for the Mac. There's some tricks and stuff you don't get there. A lot of things are converted, like you use numbers and you export it to Excel.
Right.
So I would say in the business world, I'd definitely go with the PC.
I know
Now,
for
in
me,
the
I've definitely found late. I'm just getting into the Mac, but I found that it's wonderful for certain things.
yeah,
But like you say, sometimes if I'm going to check my email or whatever, it's just as easy to grab my phone rather than
Oh
sitting
yeah,
down at the
yeah.
PC or the Mac or whatever.
So I would say increase your toolbox. If you're young, increase your toolbox. Have a bunch of different ways of doing things. If you can have a Mac, have a PC, you'll decide. And as you start looking for jobs or doing some stuff, you'll see which one goes that way. And if you do get that job, you're going to really cram and catch up on all that stuff on the device that works for you. So having a little bit under your belt for doing that,
Doesn't
the
have to be one or the
versatility
other.
is
It can
good.
be a
Yeah.
bunch.
What's that?
So it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can do
No.
both. And in fact,
Yeah.
I highly recommend people learning both if you can.
Yeah. I mean, even Zoom on the Mac is the to do videos like this or to do conference communications or podcasts on Zoom, not magnification. I'm talking about the Zoom.
The Zoom
Their
got
accessibility
meeting.
jumps
Yeah.
around all the time. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes it's glitchy. Sometimes it's not. But I don't know what it's like on the PC. But I'm all set up on my system here, to use it. So sometimes it's
Yes,
glitchy.
and then with Zoom and any applications, as you said, there's ups and downs.
Yeah.
6.7 on Zoom when crashing with JAWS and insert F1 everywhere and plastered random, verbiage. Now 7.0 or 7.02 is better. But even with the Mac and Zoom, it's always better to know your tools, as you said. One thing I wanted to ask you, Mr. Thompson, is do you read Braille?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm about
From 36, or when did Braille
I
enter
started
your
when
life?
I was 36, and they were teaching me. They wanted me to read a book that I've already read, like in print. So I did Indigo Gold. I read that entire book by the time I left there. But what really got me going was two girls left some notes on my locker, and being single at the time, I had to figure out what this was. So I took my alphabet card, and on my transportation back and forth, I figured out what they were inviting me to a party. Now I had to respond.
Oh, it was well worth learning that Braille, huh?
They helped me get up to 45 words a minute. I tell you,
What?
that was a lot. They did a lot more in my Braille reading than my teacher did. But
Well, let me tell you, I can relate to that because years ago, when I was in high school, I went down to Puerto Rico for a exchange thing for like 10 days. Our choir went down there, and I didn't know any Spanish aside from what very little I learned in um, 6 months of class. And literally, within 10 days, I picked up way more Spanish
oh,
than I did in class. And of course, it revolved around girls because you want to be able to talk to them to at least a certain degree. So uh, I learned Spanish pretty quickly at that
yeah,
point.
they call it immersion. Yeah, you
Exactly.
put
You do what
yourself
you
right
gotta
in it.
do.
You put yourself in the community like we're doing. You learn more than just trying to pick up something and figuring out. You got people to ask questions. They're doing it. You're doing it. Pretty soon, it's just natural. It's right around
Exactly.
you all the
And
time.
and down there in Puerto Rico, of course, they've got they simulcast a lot of the channels, English and Spanish, and so um, a lot of kids were learning English down there by cartoons. Cartoons that were in Spanish.
I just read Jack and the Beanstalk. No, Johnny Appleseed. I got a pile of kids' books. I got grandkids, and so I pre-read them, to come up
Good
with all
idea,
the
just in case.
yeah. And it's I just set one. I take a book out. I set it by the dinner table, so when I'm having lunch or something like that, I just flip it open, and sometimes lunch turns into an hour, and I'm sitting there flipping the pages, reading. It's easy read. If you want to pick up Braille, find something easy to read and something that you know. Don't do Dr. Zeus. He uses tricky words sometimes.
That's true.
So within Minnesota and all these different conferences that you've probably heard of, NFBACB and all of that, where do people find you normally if you're not in Minnesota, or where do you kind of flock around?
Right here. I'm
Okay,
right
so
here.
within the Minnesota state, not much travel to other states or conferences and such.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, if there's a conference, I've been down to Orlando, down in your guys' neck of the woods down there.
Awesome. Yeah.
It was down there for quite a long time, back
Yes.
and forth. It was in Vegas. I've been to St. Louis. I've been to Detroit. I think it was in Pennsylvania. And plus, like with the hockey, when I was playing hockey, I was in Pennsylvania, St. Louis, Chicago, and a bunch of other places
Is
too.
this
So
blind hockey or
yeah,
this is when you're sighted?
blind hockey with a bigger puck, it rattles a little bit, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's only a couple different rules that it's hockey.
Now up
Um,
there in Minnesota, of course, far more different sports than what we would see down here. We've got the lots of swimming and water skiing and stuff, but you've got cool things like snowmobiling. You ever gone snowmobiling or
oh yeah,
ever
I mean,
ridden or driven one?
yeah. It's all been done up here. We
Do you
don't get
do
a
it?
tan though. You know what I mean?
So you've done that being blind?
No, I
mean,
would
there's
say
always snow to hit,
snowmobiling is a
right?
young man sport because you need a good lower back. You need, it's one of those.
Yeah, look out
Pounds.
for that tree. Brenda
Yeah.
says.
No, I don't try and do anything outrageous. I went for ski for light and did skiing, and I took first place in cross country and downhill um, for the competitions that they had. So that was really fun to do that. I've always been on the athletic side in a sense and competitive a little bit, except for in podcasting. I'm kidding.
Yes, competitive podcasting. He's number
But
one.
I did pull out my Stellar X2 because I heard you guys talking
Oh
about
boy.
microphones.
Yes, yes. A good old
And I was-
condenser. It's a secret weapon.
Yeah, I'm not using it, but it's all set up right next to me there. I'm using the Shure
I'm convincing Dave to
KSM
get one of those.
22.
Just his voice, your voice. Yeah.
So what mic are you using right now again?
I'm
Jeff?
using the Shure, that's SHURE KSM 32.
Ooh.
Oh, the 32.
No wonder
Very
it's so
nice.
clean. I like it.
I have the 27, which is vintage, but that has a true 1-inch diaphragm. The 32 has a 3/4 inch, they call it embossed diaphragm, so it just has the same amount of surface area.
Right.
But I never took it apart to really investigate that aspect of it. but-
Probably a good idea. You
yeah.
don't.
They don't always go back together the same way they came. There's a few extra parts.
I'm using the trusty beat up 58. So, but I am a fan of Shure stuff.
And
Oh, yeah.
RE20 is what you're hearing my voice from today.
That was Pete's dream one. He always wanted to get that one, the RE20.
Yes,
Sorry.
he's got a much
But
higher.
he sounds much nicer on that SM7B. Honestly, his voice. I have MV7 Plus. I enjoy it, but my voice doesn't always fit that microphone. So
It is the voice that fits the microphone.
That's
you
the
know.
key. It's not a one size fits all. That's
No,
why
I mean-
people wonder why does a studio have so
I
many
mean,
mics?
if I
Well,
could let a secret out from the blind abilities, I think Serena used to use the Samson Q2U.
Yep.
SAMSON Q2U. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need a $50, $60 microphone and you want to sound at least a little bit better, not a bad mic. Just saying.
Or Techniques makes
EQ it
the
just
Audio
right
Technique, Audio Technica, or
yeah. Audio Technica makes the what is it,
2100.
2100. That's about the same. They're sister microphones, I would say. One's a little fatter, one's a little skinnier, so you needed a little different mount, but they're both typically you can wait and see them go on sale for under $100, and yeah.
So you put together podcasts. I know you're of course founder of Blind Abilities, but as far as the technical side of it,
Actually, tell you what does the word podcast mean to you, Jeff? I know.
radio on a MP3.
Pretty much.
Travel as you go anywhere you can be doing it. You don't need a screen. It was just so handy. They had the Apple Pod. They had the pod, and then it was a cast from a broadcast. So let's cast from the pod in a sense, and that's where the podcast came up. And it was wasn't well known when we first started, but as time
I
went
mean,
on,
Leo
people started
Laporte had
listening.
netcasts back in the day. If you listen to Leo
Yep.
Laporte, so it is quite interesting. And as you mentioned, you've got into this
Screensavers.
the
Remember that one?
screensavers and call for help. And hey, Leo.
Now, blind abilities, I'm sure you, of course, can get that on the Apple Podcast system.
Yeah.
But how else would you get that if you wanted to?
You can go to the website. That's blindabilities.com. Apple, any type of podcatcher, that any type of thing that you listen to them, you could probably find it. It's Blind Abilities. That's 2 words, and yeah, it's everywhere. We're this end of this month, we should hit over 2 million downloads.
Fantastic! Congratulations. That's exciting. You know, it's interesting because I'm having a hard time. Remember the little thing we were talking about? If you just if you give one bit more of information, you could maybe change someone's mind. I'm a person that likes live. It's hard for me to do edits. Can I get into the edit world and make it happen there? Post versus I like live work rather than post work. You seem like you like post because you like to record a podcast, take it and edit it, and then re-put that out, right? Is that how you put out material?
If you remember, I started talking about demos, so we wanted to do demos and stuff. So I got editing. If anyone asked me about getting into podcasting today, I would say go towards what you guys are doing. You get done. I mean, you got a little setup in the beginning because, everything works perfectly all the time, like a light switch, right? No,
Right.
it doesn't. There's little things that,
And it goes kaboom.
you have to turn a phone sideways, or you have to do
Right,
this. Or,
right.
There's all sorts of little things that happen and stuff. But once you get going, you roll, and when you're done, you're done. You're done. You walk away. But when you're doing podcasts and you're editing all the time, for every hour they say there's 4 hours. Well, I don't know. I wish it was that way all the time, but sometimes it's slower. But I got really good at editing, and I was fast at it, and that's one skill. I try and tell people, if you're going to get into podcasting, don't become the editor. I would never do it again. But I worked for a couple other people that were putting stuff out, not really in the blindness community, and I would edit their stuff for them. And I tell you what, I thought that was boring, but I really got good at dialogue and editing. Like,
Oh yeah, it's an art form
Yeah.
to a certain. Now, you're editing on your Mac or on
on my
PC?
Mac. I use Amadeus Pro, and my hands are just riveted right to the keyboard, and I'm
Gotcha. I've been
you know.
using Reaper typically for most editing
Yeah.
and I'm not a pro by any means, but I've done it enough now that I've gotten pretty good at being able to take out little breaths and things like that too. So it's
With this editing,
fun.
is it all keyboard based, or do you have like a control surface that you bought in addition?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I keep it simple. I used to have
Right.
the mixer. I used to have faders and all that stuff. Now I use either my solid state Logic.
Can you say that out
SL.
loud for my friend Dave so he could hear you clearly?
What's that?
Can you say that out loud? Dave
What is this?
Hillebrand didn't hear you. What
solid
interface is
state
that?
Logic. Yeah. I heard-
Yes,
yeah,
you
I
see-
got that.
SSL.
Jeffrey
2.
Thompson knows what to buy.
And
I
I
use
also
SSL.
have this audio out. It's I can't remember the name of it. I switched to it. I always a friend of mine from Malaysia told me about it, so I picked it up. Thinking, okay, I trust this guy.
Yeah.
And I hooked it up one time. I said, whatever. Okay, so I stuck with my SSL2, and then all of a sudden I was getting this thing that I was wondering what was going on. So I hooked this one up. I think it's an Audient. I forget.
Audient Evo 4, Audient Evo 6, 16. Yeah.
Oh no, this is a
Audient.
different one than that. It's close
ID
to that.
10T, ID
I'll send the
ID 14
information.
or something like that. I forget.
It's like a Audi AUDI. I don't know. Yeah, not Audi, but
But you are probably thinking about Audient. The
Yeah, I
reason why
was
we
thinking
bring
about
up these names, and I'm making fun of Dave. I love you, brother. We always make fun of the situation, but I'm using an SSL2 interface as well. And
See, unfortunately, he's just a little jealous of
well, I'm
my,
using Gen 1. Gen
of
2
my
is,
universal audio here.
hey, if I had a twin XL, yeah, we were getting in the weeds, but he's using universal
the
audio.
SSL2 is a great little
Yes.
device. You plug
You
and
use the
play.
knobs, no software, no sliders. Just use the knobs that are on the device.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about any software glitching and doing weird crap.
I don't hit the button to make it sound vintage or whatever the.
I'm actually using 4K right now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So
you can-
4K is turned off
but-
now. This is a dry signal without any 4K in it.
So when I hooked this thing up, it was like, wow, I like it, and so I retired the SSL2. It's sitting, yeah, it's not retired like it's doomed. It's
Right.
waiting in the wings.
It's like microphones. You can never have too many. I've got a Focusrite.
No,
I've got
probably
the
got
UA,
9 of
and I need them both, really.
So,
Well, like-
Jeff, if we were to say, we've been talking all these interfaces and kits, what is Jeffrey's suggestion or a quick recommendation for a mic interface, any of these things, any tools, if they want to start a podcast or a show or something?
I would
tools?
say get your audio source, whether it be the SSL. That's a very good, affordable. I think it's like $199, somewhere in that
Yes.
ballpark. Mine's probably about the same thing. If you can get something in that area like that, you don't need a lot of bells and whistles. You don't need 4 microphones because you're never going to have 4 people sitting around your same desk or at the same kitchen table. And what are you in the kitchen recording for? So those situations, I don't know where that idea comes that you need 4. I can see if you got the guitar going and you got a tambourine person over there and someone over there tapping.
But it's
on the
always at the kitchen
maracas.
table. That's the part I'm
Yeah.
still questioning.
So anyways, and get yourself a reasonable microphone. I think the best thing to do is try a couple because your voice may pick up great on the Audio Technica or the Q2U, or it might pick up on a Shure. Or, you don't have to go get the Neumann. You don't have to go get the Apollo, all that other stuff that, should be $2, $3, $4, $5,000 into it, and you haven't even put out a podcast yet. So, and you might want to just start right out on YouTube because then you don't have to get storage and all that other stuff, the website, all this, what it costs a month to do all this stuff really is something to consider. And that's why so many people start out and then they stop after about 9 or so, 10. I've seen so many blindness community podcasts start and then they start and fade, and stuff like that. And some stick or change their name, change the venue. I've stuck with Blind Abilities, but the iteration has changed from groups of people, different shows, different types of groups, and things move on. Life happens. And like Bob Dylan from Minnesota says, times they are changing and you have to flow with it. And that's why today I'm doing a lot of stuff for the back to basics, back to the schools, back to state services for the blind and the pre-ets, the ones who are just beginning their journey and stuff like that. So I just did some
Times
musicals.
they are a-changing.
Yeah.
That's right.
I just did some musicals and they were fun, but it was 20 below here for like a month and a half. I had nothing else to do.
You know what? Can we dive into that, the musicals? Because I know Dave and I, we shared, before we let you go real quick, you use a couple tools, and we didn't really quite get to dive into many things, but a really quick recap. You've learned a new tool, and you made your musician Oliver from overnight
Well,
sensation?
I edited all the voices in the talking, but the singing was done by Suno. But the accessibility of that is really tricky, and I wouldn't suggest someone that's visually impaired to really try it unless you have a magnifier, a phone, and patience. And it took a long time for me to do it, to figure it out and stuff like that. So I did it. I wrote all the lyrics for the songs, did 15 of them, divided them into 3. So we had 5 musicals, and then we had some talking in between the songs. And then at the end, we had a discussion. So it was a fun thing to do, and I'm done.
Jeff, I got to tell you, when I just happened to run across a couple of those tunes, and the first thing I'm thinking is, I'm not sure if I'm going to really enjoy it and want to sit through a song about, I don't know, blindness or whatever. And when I listened to those a couple of the tunes, they were excellent, and not just very poignant, but the wording was great, the music was awesome, and I don't dish out the compliments all that regularly. I mean, something like this, I was really very leery, to be honest with you, and it's just not something I would be normally into. But when I heard it, it's like, man, this is good stuff. I mean, I really hats off to you. Really excellent.
Well, it's a lot of coffee and sitting around the table in the morning before my wife goes to work, and we just shoot things back. Like on one of them, how do you pick your cane? Well, the cane picked me, like Harry Potter with the
Right.
wand, So I put that in there. It's life experiences all meshed together, and that's all it is. It's just our journeys and stuff like that. And I like your guitar. I'm a blues guy. I love the blues, and I have a 1934 Kalamazoo, 37 Kalamazoo
Oh, cool.
from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
During,
Well, I
during the
definitely.
war, Gibson had to do war stuff, and out the back door they pushed the Kalamazoo guitar out, and I found one at a garage sale for $10 and put about $400 into it.
Sweet.
Nice.
It's an arch top with a V-neck.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. They came out with lots of great blues guitars. Gibson did. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Jeff, is there anything that we've left off the table that you would like the audience to know? And that we have so much to talk about still, but I know we're running short on time tonight. But you're welcome anytime. But is there anything else that we've left off, or you
Well,
want to let our audience
I would
know?
just have to say, you two have a driving force. I was a driving force and stuff, and I was able to pick up Pete for a while, and then other people and other people. And we talked about community so many times that even though you have a driving force, if you don't have a mechanic, if you don't have someone to change the tires or do stuff like that, I can change tires. But I mean, life is hard. And without other people in a community, you get to kind of like let a little bit off, delegate a little bit. You can't just do everything yourself. So if you're ready to start a podcast, you want to compete out there in this, you don't really compete, but you want to do it, find people that are around you, because it takes some energy sometimes, and not all of us have it all the time. So it's nice to feed off the others, and you'd be amazed what you can pick up from other people. So
And
that's what
nobody's
it's all about.
too totally slammed. Everybody has their little thing they can do and not have to put out huge amounts of effort. At least
And
it's
plus,
doable.
there's life.
Yeah, there are other things. That is true. That's important to know as well.
Well, Jeff, all I want to say is a big thank you. And the word inspire has hit me really, really hard tonight. And from being that I also like to pick my students as well, being able to teach what you know. Information in your head is useless, but if you share it, it could be knowledge. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with my community here at the Blind and Beyond show. And more than welcome to come onto my channel as well, the Who Cares A11y bar. So we would love to have more conversations with you, but thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I was looking forward to that guitar taking us out.
Hey, it was great to meet you, and we will definitely, we'd love to have you back on here again and talk about all kinds of other stuff that we can chat about around the kitchen table.
And we'll get you on Blind Abilities as well.
See, we're not competing.
No.
We're on the same team. That's the thing.
We'll put Pete and Jeff team back together and get you guys on.
There you
Let's
go.
do it.
Sounds good.
I
Thank
love
you
it.
so much for being
Thank
here,
you.
man.
All right. Take care.
Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all still staying in tuned, or whatever is tune in rate, whatever, tuned. Is your guitar in tune, my dude? I like that tune.
I'm
Hey,
hoping
can
it's
you
in
hit that tune on a New Orleans real quick, like a jambalaya, just a little riff, a little bit more? No New Orleans? Come on. Martin told me to do it.
Here you go.
Okay, that's all y'all get. Maybe come in next week, guys. Maybe Dave will be so gracious and he'll play another little jam. But Dave, thank you for always playing the jams, because I know you're running all the audios, and thank you so
Something
much.
New
for what you do.
Orleans next time, maybe.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah, I love that New Orleans connection from Mike. That was cool.
Yeah.
So, hey, guess what? We've got some.
You got something?
We
What you got?
We got something from last night's
Okay.
Blind and Beyond radio show. I'm gonna
Let's check her out.
share with you. And because some folks didn't get to catch the second hour due to syndication and all that kind of stuff. So we're
We
going
learned a
to,
lot about syndication, didn't we, today, Dave?
I'm telling you, if I can learn to remember how to spell it, that's the
hardest part I had, man. Is it SIND? Come back next week. I'll spell it for you properly.
Yes, let us know in the comments, please.
Yeah. Thank you.
Speaking of which, don't forget, like, subscribe, share, all those things, and comment.
Dave. Just a little statistic. We're 4 away from 100 subs. Wow. Short time. Thank you to our community out there. Y'all are awesome. But more awesome shows, more awesome tunes, and more information coming from Dave next.
Okay, well, we'd like to welcome Peter Cuchi, Director of Accessibility at Spectrum Communications. Welcome back, Peter.
Welcome back, Peter.
Hello. Thank you.
You're welcome. Seems like we just spoke to you last week.
I know, and it'll probably be right around the corner when we speak again.
I know.
There you go.
So, Peter, I announced earlier in the show that May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
That's right.
And I started to I did a Peter. I was trying to tie it into what you offer at Spectrum Communications /Charter, and how it helps people have some peace of mind to know that Spectrum is accessible, and that has to be a big help, for mental health if you're blind or visually impaired. Just that you have independence and you can use the remote and everything by yourself and the Spectrum app. What do you think?
I love the connection. I really do, because actually one of the things I wanted to talk about today, we can actually draw a through line here, and that's really accessibility is the gate opening into a life of potential. I remember for me, I've shared my story on air. Maybe at some point, we can do a refresher on that. But for me, there was a very obvious point at which I stepped into opportunity from a life of feeling totally abandoned, have no access to anything, education, technology, career growth. I mean, it's a really isolating place to be when you don't know what's available to you as someone who is blind or low vision. And for me, on my vision loss journey, that's exactly the wall that I hit. I knew nobody else who was blind. I came from a different culture, different country, lived in a really small bubble in a small community in a rural place. I truly just did not even have the opportunity to be exposed to somebody who was blind and happy or successful or doing anything with their lives. So for me, it was a very scary moment to have to accept that I was losing my sight. And the moment that transition happened, where somebody told me, you can use a computer as a blind person, or, this is before smartphones, of course, which was its own revolution later, right? But before that, even just being able to access this new World Wide Web thing, and information is digital, and maybe I can actually read a book and be able to consume the text that's in the on the pages. All of that went from being a total non-reality to a reality overnight. And I think that once you discover that you have accessibility options available to you at your fingertips, resources, government programs, state programs, nonprofit agencies who are there to help, all of these resources that are available, it really is a mental health thing, because you go from feeling helpless and possibly, some really heavy bouts of depression to feeling hopeful and feeling uplifted and feeling like there's opportunity that's in front of you, and you actually have something to work toward. And I think about this all the time. I don't take a single day for granted these days, because now we have these tiny computers in our hands, and we, as a cable internet phone company, we don't sound particularly exciting maybe as a company, but what we do is we power connectivity, right? It's literally in our slogans and the things that we talk about. And even as an accessibility team, we talk about making connectivity available for all, because these phones, this internet, all of these things really power the new technologies that we have to make our lives more accessible. I travel through airports using Ira. People have heard of Ira, right? Or Be My Eyes, which is free, and you can use volunteers on the other side. You know, I'm in hotels a lot. How many times have you been in a hotel and thought to yourself that these things are just not accessible? Right. This thermostat is not accessible. Yeah. This, you know, TV or remote control, all of these things, you know, are not accessible. I mean, they've sort of fixed the system of the door unlocking, but at some point, you know, there were visual indications on the card of how to slot it into the door. There are all these components that were making your life just a tick more challenging, one little speck at a time. And now you have all this technology or opportunity to wash away those barriers that might still exist. And for me, it makes my travel accessible. I can go into the United app and check into my flight. I can check into my hotel. I can read a sign on a window with seeing AI, right? All of these things work on the backbone of, you know, the internet, which was such a novel thing at one point, which is crazy to think, you know, it wasn't that long ago.
Wasn't. Peter,
right?
Did you learn to speak English in this country or?
I did, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I jokingly say English was my last language because it was the fourth in the line, yeah.
Wow.
And so, yeah, right. So, I mean, you make an interesting point about language too. I mean, I think if I were to go to a different country, and I have, one of the things that that I enjoy doing is traveling, which my wife and I did more when we didn't have kids. But when we would go to a different country, I could pull up an app. It's not even an app anymore. I think you know, you can go right into your settings and just open the functionality where you speak into your phone, it translates on the screen, and the other person speaks, and it translates back to your language on the screen. These technologies are eroding those barriers that maybe once did make us feel helpless, hopeless, isolated, and I think it's a real blessing to get to experience that. But, you know, something that we've been doing that's probably a little less relevant to the blind community, but still really exciting, is the virtual American Sign Language interpreting services in our stores. This service is growing from one area to the next. And so I'm spending some time this year visiting stores in the markets, that are launching this service. And the kinds of reactions that we got, we were just down in Tampa not long ago, and we had a really incredible showing from the deaf community that came by the store, and they were demoing the service to be able to communicate to the agent in the store through the virtual sign language app. And they found that they had unfinished business that they needed to take care of. So they were there signing up for new services, adjusting their plans. They were literally handling business that was overdue because they were dreading having to do it through a pen and pencil or whatnot. So these are really exciting times, I think, for all of us, regardless of the age group that we're in, regardless of the level of vision loss that we have. There are now high tech, medium tech, low tech, no tech resources that are available to help make our lives so much more, dare I say, bearable, but certainly more smooth and friction-free, that I do think it's really relevant to call it out during Mental Health Month, to say that people take these things for granted. You know, these everyday tasks that they do, that they're able to process visually, but someone else had to wait perhaps for technology to emerge to solve that problem. But it's really exciting that we're now on the other side of it. Sure, things aren't perfect. Accessibility is not a destination. It's an adventure, a long-term adventure, because you have to chase the innovations, keep making it progressively, you know, better and better from the accessibility side. The JAWS folks over at Vispera will tell you that, you know, that Microsoft and Windows launch new versions, they have to keep iterating to make sure that JAWS works with those things. So accessibility is definitely a journey, but the fact that it's a really available, present journey that we get to participate in, that's really exciting. That's really cool.
So how many years would you say that things have gotten quote unquote better for you with the technology? About 5 or 6 maybe?
Oh no, much longer than that.
More than that?
More than that, right? Yeah. So when I first discovered that I could use a laptop or a computer, rather, I don't think it was a laptop at the time. It was one of those big, heavy desktops with the floppy drives and such. But it, you know, that was 20 years ago.
Oh wow.
So that was probably my first glimpse at an opportunity to access information in a way that was accessible. Before that, I had to ask somebody to read something for me. I had to ask somebody to look something up or download something from this internet. You know, at the time it was Napster Music, to put together a CD for me so that I could listen to it. I mean, this is a totally different environment to live in.
I think what I meant is that things have really accelerated in the last 5 or 6 years. They've gotten really super accessible, all these new things that are out there now. Peter,
they say that I'm sorry, I'll just say this last point here. They say that the lifespan of, you know, a piece of software technology gets shorter and shorter, meaning that that it evolves more rapidly than it ever has before. So at some point it took 10 years to evolve a piece of technology, then it took 5 and 2.5, and so now it's a really short half-life.
Yeah, what I was going to say is tell everybody how to reach the folks at the accessibility department at Spectrum.
Yeah, so if you're a Spectrum customer or a prospective Spectrum customer, you can reach our disability support team. This is a group of trained agents that are available to take your call on anything accessibility related or getting signed up for services. And that phone number directly to that team is 1-844-762-1301. That's 1-844-762-1301.
Okay, where's your next trip?
I am going to be in Orlando tomorrow. I'm not going to be far from you guys. So we're actually shooting some footage for our new ASL commercial spot that's talking about that virtual service. I'll be down there near Maitland.
Oh, okay. Well, have a good time.
Thank you so much. Great to connect with all of you, and thanks for letting me just babble on a little bit today. But I think sometimes it's valuable to take a stop and get some perspective. Right.
That was
appreciate it.
Very important. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for joining
us.
Thank
you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Len. Have a good night.
Take care.
Good night.
Good luck.
All righty. So we're going to go to break in about
We're going to
30
break,
seconds.
and we have a caller holding. We'll take you on the other side of the break. You listen to the Blind and Beyond.
For individuals living with blindness or low vision, each day can bring unique challenges, from navigating the physical world to managing the emotional toll of vision changes. And I'm going to read this one paragraph because Peter was just talking about this. The emotional impact of vision loss, and receiving a diagnosis that will impact or has already begun to affect your vision can be overwhelming. And he mentioned it. He said he was frightened. It says feelings of fear, uncertainty, grief, and even isolation are common. As vision changes progress, the emotional strain can grow, and sometimes leading to anxiety or depression. And research underscores that the risk of mental health challenges increase as vision declines, emphasizing the need for accessible and tailored support systems. So, I mean...
You know, I heard a statement, and I can't understand the statement. A lot of you people listening to this show will tell me that the statement is correct. I can't deal with it because I'm still married to a great woman. But I understand a lot of my brothers and sisters out there that are blind have lost their spouses because the spouse left when they went blind. For one reason or another, they left. And not only losing your vision, then you lose your husband or you lose your wife due to they don't want to stay around. is something else. That I couldn't even understand or bear with. For that, I feel very upset for you. I don't have that problem. Thank God my wife stayed with me and helped me when I was blind. If you have anything you have to say, I wish you call in and contribute to the show.
Huh.
The phone number again is 407
this button does here.
894 168.
Blind and Beyond.
It's the Blind and Beyond show.
With Hershi Trivedi.
And Dave Hillerbrand.
They'll be talking to all kinds of interesting people in the blindness community and beyond. I wonder where they could be. Let's check on them now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Hersh, something weird is happening, man. I think we're landing. Wow.
Actually.
Huh. I wonder what this button does here.
Actually, we're just about to take off.
Yeah.
We're not landing. We're going somewhere else. Another planet that needs saving, there, Hersh.
It's always good to try new stuff, you know?
But we'll be back next week.
I'm inspired over here. I'm still reeling myself back. Jeff Thompson, man, thank you, dude.
Watch out for that
not
button.
Dude,
then.
but thank you,
I
sir.
wonder
What this button does here.
Oh, no, not that.
Yeah, don't hit.
Don't touch that button.
But wow, we've talked about eyeballs and all this stuff behind the eyeballs to a microphone and all this stuff inside a microphone.
Yeah,
wow, what beyond?
We got to thank the good doctor because
yes.
several people have asked different questions, and I don't know enough about it to be able to tell them. So the good doctor.
And full disclaimer, just that for everybody, he is seen me as a doctor, but I've tried a couple of the products, but it was more of let him answer the question because he's been in the industry he's a subject matter expert. So
Exactly.
there wasn't anything like he's my doctor or Dave's doctor or anybody's doctor, but he could be your doctor if you want him to be. So go look him up.
Either way, it gives some very good information and
Yes.
lets us know what at least what to look out for and sometimes how to prevent if possible. Which would be great.
drmichaellange.com, I believe. And like I said, we'll definitely give me till Tuesday, Wednesday. Check back in the descriptions, please. And you'll have your chapter markers and all the links for this specific show.
Any more questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, or you
Absolutely.
can email us as well, I think, isn't it?
Blind and Beyond show at gmail.com.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, if they want to. But I would say comments are the best place, quickest place.
Yeah.
Just in case if we miss you next week, I think I want to go on a road trip again, Dave. I always like road trips. Maybe go visit Kentucky.
Indeed. I know we are going to be up in Kentucky.
Let's go ahead. Yeah, I think we should go head out to Kentucky. I got a friend or two. We might wave. Maybe she'll see me, but wait, she's blind.
The Bluegrass State.
The blues?
Yeah, we're going to talk to a nice.
So
young
what do I do?
lady
Do I wear a blue shirt?
No, you just gotta. No, just bluegrass. That's all.
Where do I find bluegrass?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you might have to. You check your nearest dispensary, perhaps.
Oh, that. Oh. But hey, you know what? I'm glad you took it to different lengths. This show, we don't mind asking those wild
questions.
tough questions. You know what I mean? And again, if you want to be on the show, please reach out. If we could do anything better for you,
maybe
let
you
us
know
know
someone that should be on the show that we don't even know about because we don't know everything.
We're just here to learn from you, our community, and we are nothing but grateful. Last I checked, and during the ads right there, we were sitting at 6 people still watching. So thank you so much for your support out there.
You crazy people! What's wrong with you?
And Dave,
What's
thank
going
you,
on?
thank you for taking my jokes. Again, I appreciate you, respect you so much. So sometimes if I give you a hard time during the show, know that's with love.
Hard
thank you so
time
much.
is what I deserve. So don't hold back. And we want to thank you and you guys, and of course.
Hey,
back
wait a minute!
there,
You over there. You want to be on the show?
that fellow that's way there in the back.
over
we
there.
Appreciate you too.
We need to call that. You got his number, right? You call
Yeah.
him. We would
Oh.
text him. I think him and then we could bring it back to Kentucky. Or
If you listen real carefully, you can hear my cat Cammy is she's making some comments as well. Oh no,
Nope, no
she
comment
stopped. That's all right.
When
That's
you
okay.
least
It's the thought that
expect it.
counts. So to all of our cat friends, meow, dog
Woof.
friends, bow
Oh,
wow
sorry.
wow, and to all the rest of you guys, see ya real soon. Yes, we did say that, but we're blind and we can say see ya later.
Alligator.
Right on.
Go, Gator.
Thank you very much, everyone.
I wonder what this button does.
See you next time.
Blind and Beyond.
Blind and Beyond.
It's the Blind and Beyond show.
With Hershi Trivedi.
And Dave Hillerbrand.
He'll be talking to all kinds of interesting people in the blindness community.
Low vision.
Remember, drop a like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Cheers.
So long.